Chapter 241. These are all from mutants, every last one of them. This break is completely out of control. Ember replies in a cheerful, satisfied tone. Indeed, it is. At the moment of his reply, I can feel the ground tremble and sense 10 monsters all over level 470 running our way. Without thinking much of it, I shovel the hundreds of shards off the rocky ground into my item storage, then air step up onto Ember's back. Without my perception skills right now, I'd be as good as blind in this environment. All I can sense are fuzzy mana outlines of the creatures that are coming our way. If I concentrate harder, their inner bodies are easy to picture. Although it wouldn't affect me in battle much at all, especially in a dungeon. It's still a little unnerving not being able to see properly. I have to rely solely on my mana senses. Either a being is there or not there. That is the only reading I can pick up. White blobs of varying mana intensities begin to fill my vision as Ember flies up in the air. He speaks through the link. Is this not what you wanted? I can absorb the mana in the surrounding area if you'd like. I take a deep breath in. Even if the air is this dense with energy, the oxygen that fills my lungs is not affected in the slightest. It just feels like there's a slight pressure on my temples. However, I'm not sure if that is a natural mana density property or just a side effect from the incredibly loud headache-inducing buzz that fills my ears. I reply through our link while clenching my jaw and both fists. No, this is exactly what I wanted. You did well. A powerful flap of the black-scaled dragon's wings sends us gliding off towards the back of the dungeon now, headed straight towards the boss room. The charging ogre's earth-shaking footsteps are left behind in the blue fog. I take out extra food and water to replenish my body after a long sleep as we glide through the ominous buzzing dungeon's open air. Ember replies once we stop rising in altitude. That's good to hear, Master. While you rested, I had my fun, but the real challenge is still ahead. You're about to face your first rank 3 boss fight. I stare forward into the never-ending blue fog. I know. I'm ready. Ember knows more about monsters and mana control than I do by a long shot. The hint of concern in his voice turns to my concern as well. I just still can't wrap my head around a monster being that much stronger than the mobs we've been facing in the dungeon. A ranked-up mutant dungeon boss. I guess time will reveal its true strength. Eventually, we soar into uncharted territory, the last 500 meters of open dungeon before the break that I haven't ventured through just yet. The boss room portal comes into my perception skills radar, and it feels much more powerful than it did before. Almost unimaginably more powerful, actually. More and more mutants show up on my radar below as we fly closer. At first, it's just under a dozen, like the group that started to attack us at the top of the last peak. Then, it turns into much more as groups begin to merge together. By the time we get within 200 meters of the portal, I can sense almost 40 mutants in total waiting around the energy-dense portal below. I speak up, while taking in an accurate reading of our surroundings. What is this? Ember responds. Shall we head straight for the boss? I nod, pulling out my sword and imbuing my armor with enough mana to keep it fully charged. This dungeon is so rich with mana that it feels like it's about to burst. Yes, let's head straight for the portal. It's time to clear this break. I begin to power up, activating my stat-boosting skills, and making the blue fog around me reflect crimson gold light as we make our descent. Instead of just sensing the masses of mana below, I begin to hear the grunts and roars of mutant blue ogres all fighting amongst themselves in the valley down below us. We're less than 50 meters away, and the sensation of enemies nearby puts me on high alert but also excites me beyond belief. We soar deeper in, closer to the ground, now hearing constant cracks in the rocky ground on both sides as ogres run our way. At the same time, the blue fog in front of my vision quickly begins to get much darker. It's turning black. The dense dungeon mana in front of us starts to twist and swirl, making a whirlpool-like effect in front of us as we soar forward. Instead of seeing all blue, streaks of dark black lines start to form in the air. They twist together in a massive circular pattern with the dark blue fog. It looks like an ocean maelstrom, sucking everything up in sight. The closer we get, the faster it spins, pulling in the air and energy around it. The swirling blue lines of magic in the air fade away and everything turns to black. The sound of ogres nearby fades away. There's an ear-piercing buzz, making it impossible to think of anything but staring straight ahead and bearing it. The reality here is the boss room portal has grown to over 3 times its normal size. The once 3-meter-tall light gray slowly swirling mass of magic has now turned into a towering 10-meter-wide, violently vibrating black hole engulfing any and all dungeon mass that gets near it. The closer we get, the harder it seems to turn away. Luckily, our goal is to fly straight through. I point my sword forward, activate my mana manipulation skill to create a thin layer of shielding around my body, and then Ember flies us through. My vision turns from black for a few seconds, then shifts to bright white. We're transferred into the boss room moments later. I was expecting to fight blind, having to rely on my perception skills to fight a massive mutant ogre or something of that nature. To my surprise, that's not exactly the case. Once I enter the room, a crystal-clear mountain sits in front of me with flowing waterfalls, green shrubbery, and beautiful white rock walls. It looks just like the dungeon did when we first entered, but a more majestic version. The mountain is tall, about 1 kilometer high. There's nearly 500 meters of flat ground before it with very little dirt or plant life in sight. Just a wide-open plain of flat stone. It's a clear shot, straight to the mountain at the boss room's backside. This is one of the biggest boss rooms I've ever been in. Other than the 20-floor boss, nothing compares. I could have easily mistaken this for an entire dungeon itself. The only difference is the long stream of dense blue magic that trails from behind me, right where I entered. Constantly being transported from the outer dungeon, I watch a trail of blue cloudy mana float up towards the top of the mountain. It materializes out of thin air, coming through the boss room's transfer magic and slowly rising in a thick cylinder of blue magical fog up toward the top of the beautiful peak above. I take in my surroundings in awe for over 10 seconds before finally being interrupted. The ground rumbles and my moment of peace ceases. Dozens of mutant blue ogres wielding heavy silver axes start charging down the mountainside. Clouds of dust and magic residue trail behind them as they lock onto us from over 1/2 kilometer away. This is the first wave before the boss fight. I open up my link with Ember. Let's climb the mountain and face the boss. We soar forward without a hint of hesitation, staying low to the ground. We leave trails of red, black, and golden magic residue behind in our wake while heading straight for the bright blue ogre's stampede. I scan them all as they cross over from the mountain onto the flat plain area. Registering the mutants are all between levels 470 and 480, as I expand my range further up the mountain. Then, sense where all the mana from the outside dungeon is consolidating into what seems to be a massive ball. There's a single reading in the center of it. The boss. 1200 M. LV. 559. Active items. Heavy armor set of the Blue Ogre King, plus 95% defense. Dual axes of the Blue Ogre King, plus 95% strength. Platinum ring of the Blue Ogre King, plus 100% mental strength. Active skills. Extreme strength, legendary grade. Body hardening, special grade. Buffs. Ultimate defense of the Blue Ogre King, hidden ability. King's Summoning Call. Chapter 242. 1200 M. LV. 559. Active items. Heavy armor set of the Blue Ogre King, plus 95% defense. Dual axes of the Blue Ogre King, plus 95% strength. Platinum ring of the Blue Ogre King, plus 100% mental strength. Active skills. Extreme strength, legendary grade. Body hardening, special grade. Buffs. Ultimate defense of the Blue Ogre King, hidden ability. King's Summoning Call. I finish scanning my surroundings and pause on the boss status that waits for us on top of the tower above. Level 559. A sound similar to thunder cracks throughout the boss room, but there isn't a single dark cloud or flash of light in the sky. Its source is the top of the mountain, but even with my perception skill, I can't make out the exact shape or cause of this odd phenomenon. All of the mana that's being transported from the main dungeon is clouding the view. It's all consolidating to make a massive blue ball of energy. The orb is impossible to make sense of from this distance. That isn't my primary concern at the moment. The hordes of blue ogres running towards us are. I charge up MP into my blade and send a shot off in the direction of one of the approaching monsters, while Ember breathes a wave of dark flames straight at another. My recent level-ups, along with the nearly 25% increase in my overall mana control consumption, has buffed my abilities a considerable amount. My high power slash slices through the front side of a mutant armor, cutting the beast in half with a single strike while the plume of black fire desolates the ogre's ember attacks. Earlier today, an attack like that would have taken 2 or 3 hits. Although the opponent above is at a higher level than any monster I've faced before, I'm tingling with excitement at the opportunity to try out my new power. Maybe it will drop some interesting loot too. I decide to be as efficient as possible, taking off my Griffin's Talon necklace and throwing on the dark red Salamander King's cloak. It gives me an 80% boost in mental strength, rather than the Talon's 40%. I have a feeling I'm going to need every advantage I can get. With all these thoughts racing through my mind, Ember and I continue taking out mutants that stand in our path as we approach the mountain. Their shards are left behind for now. I'm focused on defeating the boss, nothing else. I attempt to use my plunder skill to absorb MP from the environment like I did back in the blue-clouded dungeon, but it doesn't work nearly as well. Without the dense atmosphere of available mana, I'll have to rely on my remaining MP potions for now or the monsters I can directly drain mana from in a physical attack. I manage just fine. It's just a minor inconvenience. There are mutants that run down the mountain straight toward us from all directions. Most are very agile and powerful, but there's occasionally 1 or 2 in such a rush they fall or jump from unreasonably high ledges. This injures them even before making their way towards us. It doesn't seem to matter much. The steady stream of them isn't showing any signs of stopping anytime soon. Easily one-hitting each of them, but not flaming the rewards isn't doing anything very productive. I decide to stop firing off shots. It's best to save my energy for the fight above. Ember, on the other hand, keeps sending off his nearly endless supply of flames down at the roaring blue creatures. We start our ascent. Flying past crystal clear water and rocky cliffs, the mountainside gets steeper and steeper. We fly further from the ground and my eyes are locked on the growing cloud of blue-tinted mana above the whole way up. It seems to all be consolidating in a sphere at the munitions top. Less than a minute later, I see with my own 2 eyes. Over 30 more ogres lose their lives while the trails of burning rocks and trees left behind from Ember's flames tell the full story of our joinery up the mountain. We finally make it to the peak. It's a classic boss room style battlefield, with a 100-meter wide shallow bowl shape to the top of the mountain. Possibly, the remnants of an old dormant volcano. Near the far side, the massive glowing blue ball of mana can be seen. The orb is dark blue with lighter wisps of dust and pure white mana curling it. A loud ground-shaking buzz fills the air as hordes of ogres run out from it. My eyes open wide and I whisper under my breath. The King's Summoning Call. This is one of the boss' hidden abilities. Taking in the sight before me, it seems like it's able to summon endless waves of ogres. We fly forward, just over 20 meters above the battlefield. I stare deep into the glowing blue ball of mass, but can't see a thing. Just like before, the boss monster's status stats and level pop up, but I can't see its physical body. I charge up a fairly high-powered strike and send it flying in the direction of the royal blue, slowly spinning 10-meter wide ball. The moment my strike hits its outer wall, there's a light buzzing sound and a miniature white flash before the black blade of fire completely disappears into the spinning mass of energy. Ember and I glide down, closer to the floor, and begin taking out the mobs that are being spawned and sent our way. Each and every one of them explodes into flames or gets decapitated on sight. They fall to the arena floor behind us as we make our way toward the ominous orb that took one of my attacks without budging one bit. Now that we're closer, I activate my all-seeing eye again and try to peer inside. Still incredibly thick. Possibly almost 2 meters thick, actually, made of pure swirling mana. This time, as I look deep into the barrier, there's the faint outline of a monster sitting down with its legs crossed inside. I almost do a double take. The ground beneath it has sunk in half a meter, and even while sitting it's much taller than the mutants that are continuously spawning out of its spinning dense mana. It's at least 5 or 6 meters tall while sitting down, so whatever is inside there must be a 10-meter or taller monstrosity. It's hard to make out exactly what it looks like, but the faint glimmer and mana output of its heavy metal armor can be sensed. 2 massive silver axes lay on either side of it as well. I grit my teeth, squint my eyes, and look closer. I have to drink another MP potion just to burn through enough mana to see the creature in its entirety. With eyes closed, legs crossed, a back straight, and the calm smile of a monk in meditation, the mutant blue ogre king sits atop its mountain collecting mana and waiting for a worthy opponent to arrive. My first attack was a complete failure, so I'll have to try something different the second time around. To be honest, I'm not sure if the boss even noticed. Ember flies over the slowly spinning blue sphere and we begin circling it. Time to devise a plan. Ember nods. We glide around in a circle 10 meters or so above the dormant king of the mountain. More and more mutants attack as we circle the boss. They're all dispatched in seconds by either dark red flames or a fiery black slash whenever they get too close. The ball of energy doesn't move at all. I'm almost at a loss for words. Usually, monsters are the first to make their move. I open up my link with Ember. Is this Tier 2 mana control? Yes. There's a long pause as the wind passes by my face and long black wings flap on either side of me in a slow rhythmic fashion. But that barrier may not be as impenetrable as it seems. I squint at the loud buzzing sphere of mana below as Ember points his head toward the blue cylindrical cloud of mana that's still being sucked into the boss defenses. This ranked up ogre is definitely using Tier 2 mana control. It wouldn't be able to move mana around and use it for its own so freely without it. I tighten the grip on my sword. So then where's its weakness? You must have found a break in its barrier, right? The black-scaled dragon lets out a thick dark crimson plume of flames down at the boss in response without a second of doubt. The eruption of flames engulfs the entire dome, creating the illusion of a 10-meter-wide fireball sitting on the mountain's peak as it flows off the sides onto the rocky floor. We rise higher in the air to avoid the residue and debris. Mutants are burned to ash in the process on all sides, but when the flames begin to clear, the barrier is completely unharmed. Well, almost. The monster inside sits still. The outer layer of the blue sphere begins to melt away as the fire dissolves into it. The barrier itself is putting out the flames of Ember's advanced fire magic, but it's using its own mass to do so. I let out a laugh, then begin to charge up my sword to its full power. You're right, the barrier has a weakness. It looks like we have an in. Chapter 243. You're right, it does have a weakness. It looks like we have an in. Ember's dark flames that once engulfed the round blue sphere of mana begin to dissolve inwards. I watch the entire structure shrink. There are small explosions and it lets off white arcs of light similar to miniature sun flares. It's not much, but it definitely shrinks. We can work that. Again. Fire at it again. My continuous mana output is nowhere near what Ember can produce, so I'll have to leave this part to him. Understood. The glossy black-scaled majestic dragon flaps its wings slowly as we glide closer to the boss again. A dense black and red plume of flames shoots down at the dormant monster to cover the entire structure once again. Cries from newly spawned monsters can be heard while waiting for the sea of flames to clear. The outer layer shrinks a minuscule amount yet again. Blue mana residue takes in the flames, giving off a light buzz and flashes of light that sound like fireworks. The blue and white magic residue disappears into thin air, but the barrier's mass slowly grows back the moment it's destroyed. I smirk as Ember lets another attack go. Again. Over and over, we spawn kill the mutant mobs that come running out from the orb. As they dissolve, Dozens of shards begin to pile up on the arena floor. I pay little mind to this, solely focusing on the diameter of the orb that has now shrunk almost half a meter after just a dozen attacks. Still, there's no movement coming from within, and the barrier itself is still being replenished by the cloud of blue mana-imbued fog that flows up the mountain from the original dungeon. Ember glows bright red, slowly plundering MP from the environment around him to fuel his attacks. If I'm seeing this right, the moment Ember lets up, this ogre's entire defense will be restored in just a few seconds. We continue to circle the boss, 20 to 30 meters up in the air. Again, I charge up my blade, harnessing the mana residue around me to charge my blade over a full MP bar. There's over 3,000 MP ready to fire off. At this density and newfound power from all my level-ups, it will be the most devastating attack I've ever thrown. Takes nearly half a minute, but I'm waiting for the perfect time to strike. Black flames continue to rain down, tampering with the ogre's defenses as I take aim for the perfect shot. I can sense that the shield has been weakened now to under half of its normal thickness, so I let my attack fly. With a powerful thrust, the black crescent of flames plummets down toward the mediating Mountain King. There's a loud twang of dispersing mana in the air as my blade cuts a deep hole right through the already damaged blue orb. As the fiery blade enters the structure, one of the Ogre King's hands twitches and an eye opens wide, staring through the clouds of mana to look directly at me. It shines a deep blue hue. Time feels like it slows for a moment. Then Ember swoops upwards, avoiding the debris from my strike, breaking the barrier. In the blink of an eye, the mutant grabs both of his axes and swings them upwards to block my attack. Its speed and instant readiness are astonishing. With reflexes like those, it may be faster than me. A loud cracking sound echoes throughout the entire dungeon as my attack hits both of its axes. A loud grunt comes from below as it's deflected to the side, but still manages to land a hit on the ogre's upper arm. The fiery crescent then flies out the other side of the dome, trailing with a light drip of crimson blood. It wasn't much, but I landed a hit. A good start. We fly high into the air as the murderous roar of the awakened Mountain King shakes the entire dungeon. The bright blue mana swirling around this beast begins to compact, getting denser and denser until it covers the beast in a blue shimmering bodysuit. The once massive orb of energy now covers a dual axe-wielding giant blue ogre boss. Glistening blue and white, the entire body of the beast is covered head to toe with thick mana. I may have been very lucky to get a shot in before it fully woke up. Two dark blue lights shine from the monster's face, showing me where its eyes are located, but I can't see its actual body. All that stands before us is a glowing blue and white outline of a monstrosity. So much mana. I've never seen or felt so much energy all in one place since I fell into the Titan's domain. This is completely different. That mana was freely floating in an open void. This mana is 100% in control of the monster before us. The air wavers before my eyes, and the buzzing from mana in the air is so loud that everything around me sounds silent. The flaming rock from our previous attacks makes a wall of flames, and half-dying mutants create the perfect contrast to show off the Dungeon Breaks boss in all its glory. The silence ceases and it lets out another murderous roar, pointing its axes straight up at us in the air. I yell out to Ember through our link. Again, fire. The real battle begins now. Thick flames engulf the 10-meter-tall blue Ogre King, but it doesn't move a muscle. The monster stays in place and takes the attack. Its outer layer of mana crackles and pops as it eats up the flames and lets white mana disperse into the air. Again, we circle the monster as it calmly stands still, following our flight path with its dark blue gaze taking attack after attack. Meanwhile, I charge my blade up just like before. Takes well over half a minute to use the dungeon air, but just a few seconds with MP potions. I release another 3,000 MP attack straight at the king. I wonder how it'll react this time. This is the same devastating strike that shattered its defenses just moments ago to draw blood. Instead of standing its ground and taking the hit, the massive beast finally lifts its axes again. This time around, they're covered in a thick layer of dense blue mana. On impact, there's a slight pause and reaction of light and twanging sound, but the strike I throw is deflected off deep into the boss room without much effort at all. Then the mutant finally makes its move. It turns and begins running in our direction. The ground cracks and shakes, leaving high craters behind in its wake. Dense blue mana drips from beneath its feet, leaving pools of blue residue all over the battlefield. The monster gets closer and closer, but we're high in the sky. Ember lets out another attack, covering the ogre in a crimson wave of flames. Instantly, the monster retaliates and swings its axes as the flames dissolve into its armor of mana. We're over 30 meters in the air, so there's no way it can reach us. Even with a jump in the air, I doubt it can leap this far. While thinking this, my eyes open wide at the reality of the situation. As it swings its two axes, dark royal blue mana comes shooting out of them, just like the attack I sent flying at it earlier. In an instant, it spawns mana crescents far larger and denser than my own. Amber senses the danger too, and we dodge instantly, swooping lower to the battlefield. The Ogre King swings its axes again, sending two blue crescents of murderous blue light our way. A swerve to the right takes us out of its line of fire, just barely. The wind blows by me on both sides with vicious force as we speed up and the seriousness of this battle sets in. I grit my teeth while charging my blade, and we dodge another two attacks as it lets out a roar to shake the boss room once again. Just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, the pools of mana all around the dish-like battlefield begin to bubble and glow much brighter. Rocks start to breaking and more ogres' roars start to fill my ears. Dozens of mutants start spawning from the residue pools left behind by the boss footsteps. We fly around the battlefield as more and more mutants spawn with seemingly no end in sight. Ember blows flames down on them as the boss tracks our movements, sending off more mana-filled attacks. I let off attacks of my own, drinking mana potions to charge my sword as well as using some residue from the atmosphere to fuel my attacks. Every one of them is blocked with incredible precision, and every step this beast takes spawns more obstacles for us to avoid and take out. Ever since that first unguarded strike that made this ogre bleed, I haven't even gotten past its blades. Not a single strike has hit its shielding yet. The blue fog from above is feeding its defenses even more, nearly negating Ember's fiery attacks. The shielding around its body is growing back at close to the same rate the fire is burning it down. I have to do something. Dungeon Walker. Out of frustration and curiosity, I blip to the monster's opposite side, while Ember lets off one of his flaming attacks. I let one of my own soar, right at its back. Can't move in time, and I land a direct hit. A red, black, blue, and white explosion follows, and I see its bright blue armor open up for just a moment to expose its skin. The time it takes for me to bring another mana potion to my lips is more than enough for it to heal the small hole in its barrier and turn my way. I blip back to Ember's back and stare down at the monster as it turns its blue eyes to meet mine. We're completely outmatched, but I have an idea. The rumbling of newly spawned mutants comes running our way, and the boss holds both of its axes steady, covered head to toe in pure blue armor. It charges its blades while I whisper under my breath and open my status screen. It's been a while, but it's time to upgrade another skill. Chapter 244. It's been a while, but it's time to upgrade another skill. While looking down at my status, I check the proficiency points available to me. PP 231. We continue to fly around in circles, narrowly dodging the monster's bright blue energy attacks. I need to make it through this monster's defenses and take in enough mana to continue battling at a steady rate. I'll either need to up my mana control drastically, or use the points available to me and upgrade a skill. Leaving the dungeon right now isn't an option. I told my teammates I'd clear it, so that's what I'm doing. I'm less than 20 points away from being able to upgrade my next legendary skill, Absorption. That's the only reason I've been saving them up for so long. It's the skill that has gotten me this far. All thanks to being able to take the powers from monsters I kill. I've been able to defy the odds and get stronger much faster than everyone around me. Though, In a scenario like this, what's absorption good for if I can't defeat the monsters with the skills I'm trying to steal? I scroll down my list and choose the logical decision. If it's tier 2 mana control I have to contend with, then I'll just make my own version of it. Plunder. Info. Plunder allows the user to take mana from opponents once physical contact is made. Mana crystals and other magic items may be plundered. The effectiveness of the user's ability to plunder decreases if the average mana control output of their opponent is higher than their own. It is much more efficient to plunder weaker enemies. MP may be consumed in mana-rich dungeon environments, but effectiveness is severely lacking compared to direct contact plundering. Grade. No grade. Upgrade. I click upgrade as 2 blue blades shoot by my head, and the rumble of dozens more freshly spawned in mutants approach. Upgrade, 50 pp. No grade dash. Special grade. The special grade plunder skill allows the user to plunder opponents up to 50% greater mana control than their own with equal proficiency to their own level. The special grade plunder skill allows the user to absorb MP from dungeons with much higher proficiency. Even when mana is not visible to the naked eye, it may be plundered all the same. Contact with any dungeon mass is also considered a viable link to plunder MP. The special grade plunder skill will not affect the dungeon's structural integrity. It will only limit the amount of monsters available to respawn from the source. Without batting an eye, I click upgrade and immediately feel a difference. I activate my plunder skill to charge up an attack and feel every free-floating mana particle in the air begin to move in towards my body, down my arms, and into my sword. It's like breathing in fresher air than I ever knew existed. No MP potions or strengthening fragments can beat the pure feeling of power that's just entered my veins. With my all-seeing eye and mana manipulation simultaneously active, it feels like I can see, touch, move, and absorb everything atop this mountain. No, in this whole dungeon. A faint pink glow, similar to my mana manipulation, adds itself to the mixture of blended colors in my dark red and golden aura. The real battle begins now. I start launching off 3000 MP attacks at the monster one after another like it's nothing. Every twist and turn through the air we make into new portions of mana-filled air allows me to charge up my blades almost instantly. Sure, they'll take a toll on me once I hit my daily MP consumption limit, but I have a few hundred shots at this power level left in me. So it's time to get to work. The first shot I fire off is blocked by the mutant boss blade. The second one right after hits its left side. White and blue light appears, followed by the explosion of flames as I watch its barrier crack over at the point of impact. 2 more shots erupt from my blade one after another and fly off in its direction. One heads straight for its outreached dual blades while the other curves around to slip right through the cracked opening in its blue mana barrier. Another loud twang and cracking noise follows. A loud roar confirms I made a direct hit. As the residue clears and its shielding starts to reform, the crimson glint of blood dripping from a small cut catches my eye. I smirk as Ember dives downwards and we fly to its opposite side. Another hit. To make things easier, I take out my dagger. It allows me to force the barrier open with one attack and send another strike in right after to do the actual damage. I let out more shots of mana as Ember spins and dives to avoid the rage-filled attacks of the boss. Fire begins to burn dark red on the ground below us. Every attack Ember and I send lets out large plumes of dark flames that spread from mutant to mutant, slowly burning them alive. Even if they're not hit head-on with a direct attack, they're killed moments after they spawn. The only thing immune to the flames is the merciless boss. Its suit of blue armor wades through the thick flames and puts them out on contact. A line of untouched rock floor trails behind it. We circle the beast as it lunges towards us again and again. It may be fast and powerful, but our speed and agility in the air are far above the boss monster's capabilities. The fallen mobs leave shards behind. They're starting to pile up and give off a visible glimmer of white and blue light even from here. Everything is going as planned. The only problem is, As many shots as I fire off, it's getting harder and harder to hit this crafty creature. I've landed 5 more successful blows, but the shielding in its place is getting harder to hit. It's also predicting my attacks and dodging over half of them now. I'll have to try something else. Dungeon Walker. I jump off of Ember's back, now having more than enough teleport points plotted in the air to handle myself. With the element of surprise on my side, I can much more effectively send attacks into the monster's bright blue armor. It takes 1 wind slash to break it, and 1 fiery attack to damage the beast. I can send off 2 before narrowly blipping away to avoid its counterattacks. There is some damage, but it's not nearly enough. If only I could land 1 more hit per time I attack. A wind and fire combo attack would complement each other and do much more damage. Gritting my teeth, I land another 3 total hits while blipping around 7 more times. Small gashes appear on its arms, legs, and torso, but all I've done is it angry. Every time I break through its mana shielding, the blue barrier just grows back stronger. I open my link with Ember as he continues to weaken the boss mana armor while eradicating the mutants in the crossfire. I need to take out its source. I look up at the dark blue stream of mana that's been continuously flowing down into the battlefield this entire time. There's far too much mana for me to consume. I can sense millions of MP flowing out from the Dunegon and around the body of this monster. Ember replies while sending off a final fireball to destroy a wave of approaching ogres. Understood. I'll block it from the sky. To absorb this much mana, I'll need to concentrate. I trust you'll finish the battle. While gripping my sword, I turn back to the boss. If it can't regenerate its shielding any further, I can handle it. With that, Ember takes to the sky and I air step downward to let out another attack before blipping away to its blind spot. The monster is becoming frustrated but keeps its composure with dark blue eyes locked on me for the full time we fight. The more attacks I land, the better it learns my movements too. Not only can the humming blue mass of mana dodge me more often than not, it's also letting out its own attacks faster and with more precision as well. Sometimes I even have to move out of the way before releasing an attack of my own. It's predicting my Dungeon Walker teleports. Finally, Ember's voice echoes in my inner ear. It is done. I feel a familiar feeling crawl over my skin and my vision is tinted red. The ambient mana in the air drastically decreases for a fraction of a second while it feels like time slows down. I turn my head to see Ember high in the sky above the mountain radiating a dark red-crimson aura. The blue mana clouds are reacting and glowing bright white. An incredible light fills the sky, and the flight path of appraising foreign dungeon mass is successfully blocked. My perception of time speeds back up as a wide grin crosses my face. The boss monster is distracted by the sight as well. Taking advantage of the moment, I release another 2 attacks to land a devastating blow on its left side. I let out a laugh and blip away while watching the monster heal its broken shielding. It's not by much, but the dense shield shrinks ever so slightly to mend the hole. After a few more teleportation maneuvers, airstep dodges, and near misses, I land another strike to the monster's back. With a loud cry, the boss' dark blue eyes tighten, looking even more angry than before as it heals the shielding's hole. It shrinks again. I've gained the upper hand. Chapter 245. I've gained the upper hand. Level up. Level up. Level up. To my surprise, the sound of level up notifications rings in my ears as more and more mutants die in the burning fires below. I'm not that much higher of a level than them, so it would make sense that killing this many would continue to raise my own. With a bright red, white, and blue glow completely covering the sky overhead, blocking the energy that once added to this boss monster's barrier, I can face this beast on my own terms now. Without its constant energy renewal, it seems more on edge, but also more willing to fight. Its eyes glow darker and look more alert, fully aware of its situation. The last remaining visible wisps of blue swirling magical fog make their way into its buzzing armor made of blue light. Then the boss glares at me to let out its loudest ground-shaking roar. Dungeon Walker. I teleport to its opposite side and let off a dual attack straight into its back. With a swing of right-handed axe, it blocks one of my blades and the other collides with its shielding. Dungeon walking away, I let off another attack to strike the monster's wide-open, exposed flesh. It predicts my movements, and I have to dodge an energy attack from its left blade. As expected, you won't be giving up easily. A wide smile stays on my face as we fight to the death. Another dozen shots each fly back and forth, and I've managed to fit the monster 4 more times. Each attack draws more blood and now shrinks its mana shielding more than twice as fast as before. I've consumed nearly 500,000 MP to launch my attacks, but it keeps enduring my blows. Luckily, there's an end in sight. Without the excess mana in the air, the shielding it's using as a defense forms back at a rate almost 5 times slower than before. Each attack I start letting out does more damage to its energy supplies, sending off larger white explosions and releasing more ambient mana into the air. Every shot that lands makes bigger breaks in its barrier, opening up much larger targets for my second strikes to land. Although the monster is adapting to my movements and becoming much more agile on the battlefield, the longer this fight lasts, the more hits damage the boss. Its blue eyes glow darker and darker as the shielding grows thinner and thinner. I can hardly even be spotted while teleporting and air-stepping around it in circles. With so much mana at my fingertips for use, the battle just gets more exhilarating every moment I'm in it. Massive explosions of fire residue obliterate mutants that spawn from existing pools of blue light. Level up. Easily another 100 are slaughtered as our battle continues on. Due to my speed and agility in the air thanks to wind summoning and dungeon walking, I'm in no real danger of getting hit while focused on the battle. Mana flies, attacks are thrown, and the mutant's eyes glow brighter and brighter as its shielding slowly fails. Almost 15 minutes pass, and I've landed 3 dozen more attacks. Sweating, breathing heavily, and nearing my limit, I stare down at the bloodied and beaten beast below. If I had to guess, this massive barrier of mana it was using isn't just its Tier 2 mana control at play. It must be part of its hidden ability, Ultimate Defense of the Blue Ogre King. Without the availability of excess mana, it's not able to be used. Or maybe there's another hidden metric to its buff. Through my all-seeing eye skill, I can see it sucking in mana to create a base level of shielding. But the thick blue and white light that surrounds its body is so weak that I can see its torn-apart flesh even without my perception abilities now. It lets our roars of anger and frustration. The mutants spawn less and less from its excess residue. It desperately defends as I mercilessly attack, pushing most of its mana reserves into its axes to block my incoming strikes. This allows it to block some, but the attacks that hit its wounded body just keep doing more and more damage. Every time it begins to cover up an area in defenses, I let out attacks with blinding speed to break the barriers down and eventually bring the monster to its knees. With a loud clang of metal axes hitting the stone floor, followed by the thud of its tired body hitting the ground, the mutant Ogre King bows its head in defeat. With hundreds of shards laid out in piles beneath its battered body, the monster begins to let its shielding drop. I tighten my gaze and whisper under my breath in a suspicious tone. Too easy. It doesn't seem like the type to give up, but it was clearly outmatched. Not wanting to give it another second to rethink its decision, I send dual attacks of wind and fire straight at the monster's midsection. Not making a sound, the blades glide through, and 2/2 of the 10-meter-tall mutilated Ogre King fall to the boss room's floor. I gulp, darting my eyes back and forth while waiting for the sweet sounds of even more level-ups to ring in my ears. But they never come. The crackle of black flames is all that fills my ears as the remainder of mutants perish all around me in the fire. I airstep down to the floor, landing on a thin layer of white and blue shards. The 2/2 of the mutant king lay dormant as I slowly approach. Even the buzzing sound of mana ceases. The dungeon becomes eerily silent. I open my link with Ember. It's done. The moment I do, the light buzz of mana in the air returns, but oddly enough it's coming from below me. The shards that cover the ground begin to glow much brighter than before. Then they all start vibrating at a similar frequency and move towards the mutant's body that lies lifeless on the stone floor. It begins to glow blue and white as well, giving off the same dull hum. This doesn't look like it's going to end well. I grit my teeth and teleport as far up into the air as I can, calling out to Ember through our link. Enough, we have to get back. Now! The black-scaled dragon swoops down at my words, and I manage to touch his glossy wing, just in time to teleport us to the far side of the dungeon where we entered. The glowing stones rattle more and more, coming together on the fallen corpse of the mutant king. The light animating from the top of the mountain grows until the buzzing can be heard from over a kilometer away at the far side of the boss room. Finally, it hits its peak and there's an overwhelming white flash of light. Second later, I hear a loud crack and the entire dungeon shakes. I watch the top half of the distant mountain explode, sending massive chunks of rock high into the air in all directions. Millions and millions of MP from the fallen ogres have consolidated and let out their energy all at once. A last-ditch effort by the boss to protect its lair. A shock wave of energy and debris comes flying our way, but all I can focus on is the constant ringing in my ears. Level up, 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 status open. Name, J. Soch. Level, 495. HP, 2480/2480. MP, 2050/2480. Strength, 1311 plus 1849 plus 1481 plus 656 plus 656 plus 656. Speed, 1433 plus 866 plus 717 plus 717. Agility, 1538 plus 692 plus 1692 plus 769 plus 769. Defense, 1102 plus 1223 plus 1014 plus 551. Mental strength, 1230 plus 738 plus 554 plus 1341 plus 1316 plus 984 plus 615 plus 615 plus 615. Skills, absorption, special grade, swordsmanship, combat magic, advanced fire summoning, inspect, special grade, enemy detection, body hardening, special grade, self-regeneration, special grade, spatial magic, item storage, plunderer, special grade, telekinesis, appraisal, special grade, conceal, special grade, berserker, dungeon walker, special grade, intimidation, dagger mastery, stealth, bloodlust, equivalent exchange, combat magic, wind summoning, all-seeing eye, extreme strength, dual wielding, special grade, telepathy, legendary grade, final breath, special grade, combat magic, advanced earth summoning, combat magic, advanced mana manipulation, items equipped, High Ogre King's Ring, plus 60% mental strength, the Behemoth's Platinum Amulet, plus 111% defense, Dark Elf Boots, plus 60% speed, Serpent King's Scale, plus 45% agility, plus 45% magic resistance, Desert Troll's Charm, plus 45% mental strength, the Flame Emperor's Sword, Fire Aspect, plus 141% strength, plus 109% mental strength, the Wind Tyrant's Dagger Set, Wind Aspect, plus 112% strength, plus 110% agility, plus 107% mental strength, Berserker King's Armor Set, Blood Bonded, plus 92% defense, Salamander King's Cloak, plus 80% mental strength, plus 80% fire magic resistance, Greater Demon's Core, plus 50% all stats, buffs, Berserker plus 50% strength plus mental strength, Bloodlust plus 50% speed plus agility plus mental strength, Extreme Strength plus 50% strength, Chapter 246. I just need another 5 levels. Although a shockwave of excess magic and debris is flying my way at an alarming speed, all I can do is stare down at my status and smile. I've gained 4 levels from the hundreds of slain mutants and another 10 levels from defeating the boss itself. This brings me up to level 495. There are only 5 more until I hit B-class eligibility. I know there's an exam available to hunters that hit level 500, but it's not brought up in the news often. Not many make it this high. Without upgrading my plunderer skill to special grade, taking out this boss would have been near impossible. I have plenty of other skills, yes, but the only thing that mattered in the end was my ability to wield mana at an accelerated rate. It seems this is the second large bottleneck in the hunter's natural rank-up process. There's one that occurs on the level 300 to 350 range, the introduction to mana control that allows only those with rare element aptitudes to progress at a quicker pace. The ones that are funded enough, whether that be government or private aid, can one day make it to the level of the elite status. The next pause in progression has to be focused around Tier 2 mana control. Monsters that near level 500, becoming ranked-up beings, able to take an MP through advanced mana control, seem to be unbeatable opponents for a magic user that can't keep up with their endless shielding. Sure, not impossible to defeat, but very unlikely. This is why there are so few B-class hunters in the world. I wonder how much mana control would be necessary to achieve this rate of natural environmental mana absorption without a special skill like mine. I let out a sigh, then turn my focus back to the white and blue energy wave coming my way. Opening my link with Ember, I point to the sky. We'll fly above it. Before the dungeon collapses entirely, I'd like to see if the boss drops any loot. With a powerful flap of his wings, we soar up into the air. The body of this beast is gone, but it must have left something behind. Ember replies, "Very good. That was an impressive victory, Master. We're so close to ranking up. Maybe I'll finally get to evolve after our next big battle." I smirk. Maybe even before. The shock wave of energy and flying rocks ripples beneath us as we travel higher into the air. Weaker energy makes it up to our altitude, but I teleport us into the zone of the obliterated mountain that has already weathered the shockwave. We avoid the blast entirely. Activating all my perception skills, 2 items pop up on my radar. One of them seems to be a ring the ogre was wearing with an incredible mental strength buff. The other item is one I've never seen before. The mana readings it's giving off are unbelievable. Not just their mana residue stands out to me, but also their information on my appraisal skill. This changes everything. We glide forward as I point Ember in the right direction, then start digging through the piles of rubble and half-melted boulders. Using mana manipulation, I easily part the stone and find exactly what I'm looking for, the first item drop. Platinum Ring of the Blue Ogre King, plus 100% mental strength. Silver in color, I toss the ring up and down in my palm a few times. It feels even heavier than gold. I take off my Desert Troll's charm, only giving me a 45% metal strength boost, and put on this ring with 100%. Immediately, I feel a small shift in my power as the buffs are recalibrated. Next, I turn toward the real treasure. Peeking out of another large rock pile, the bright blue glow of another item calls to me. I move all the surrounding rock out of the way with ease, revealing what's underneath in all its glory. A palm-sized dark blue crystal gives off a loud low-frequency hum, rests on the rocky floor. Wisps of blue and white mana trail off of it as I pick the crystal up from a distance using telekinesis. It floats in the air as I appraise it. Blue Ogre King's Essence. Info. The accumulated essence of the Blue Ogre King. Excess mana from a Blue Ogre King's dungeon break has been contained in crystal form. Class: B++. Type: consumable. Durability: MP output 101.4 m, 100.4m. 100 million. The crystal floats toward me as I grasp it between my fingertips, sitting firmly on Ember's back. The rings on my finger clink against the crystal's hard structure. The deeper I look inside this gem, the more endless the swirling mana within seems to become. Before I can get out another thought, a flash of light engulfs me on all sides. The dungeon collapses, consuming both Ember and me in the blinding whiteness of transfer magic. I feel Ember's feet thud against the sandy yet rocky floor where we entered this dungeon. Opening my item storage, I throw the blue vibrating gem inside and immediately open my link with Ember. To the sky! It's nearly pitch black out, and I can barely see a thing. A sliver of sunlight escapes the horizon telling me the approximate time, but I already knew that I slept all day before this raid began. My only worry and reason for being so quick to the sky is the off chance that someone were to see me with a dragon come out of the break. It wouldn't be good. Thankfully, after a quick enemy detection scan finding not a single soul around, I'm put more at ease. Ember flaps his wings and carries us high up into the fly above the cloud line. To my surprise, the sunlight gets brighter the higher we travel upwards. The sun has really just gone down, but I'll have the opportunity to see the sunset again. I let out a laugh while opening my link with Ember as the cool air passes through my hair. We have to head north. About an 18-hour ride by camel, and my team should be over halfway there by now. It'd be best to slow time the flight speed down so we arrive just as they do. We're off to Solara. Understood. The sun sets again, leaving us in the cool darkness of night. As I begin to relax, the built-up battle fatigue hits me all at once. The aching bones, tired muscles, and tingling skin start to take a toll on me, making my eyes close yet again. I make sure to drink water and eat enough to satisfy my hunger, but drift off to sleep within the hour. A few questions race around in my mind as I fade away into dreamland on Ember's back. How can I use this new item to my advantage? 100 million mana will surely do irreversible damage if I try to consume it all at once. However, I could use Plunderer at its new special grade rank to absorb the mana while Abby constantly restores my MP. This is a possibility. I also have almost 60 million MP worth of mutant fragments from Ember's farming escapades too. My teammates will most likely be able to handle 100k MP at a time if they push themselves. That dungeon is gone, but we've made some serious gains in a short time. Once I meet back up with them after a long sleep, we'll have a final upgrade session before facing off against the labyrinth in the capital. I'm feeling a lot more confident in our abilities as a team than I did just a few days ago. Chapter 247. Leaving the setting sun behind, I drift off to sleep as Ember gracefully glides above the desert. The cool breeze and the dark night sky slowly calm the adrenaline pumping through my blood post-battle. All I can dream about are the new power-ups coming soon and the labyrinth break in Solara that's giving people so much trouble. The only logical explanation is that the two elites sent to take care of it were not strong enough to face off against a ranked-up boss alone. Maybe they're facing a similar problem. They can't keep up with the higher levels of mana control. With that being said, one of them is Fisher. I'm at a higher overall level than him now, but in my current state, I believe our mana control is nearly even. I'm gonna have to make use of this ogre's core in order to make it to the next level. Master. Ember's voice wakes me from my thought-filled sleep. My body feels exhausted still, and my head aches. I think I might have overdone it again. My skin tingles and my bones feel weak. This is exactly how I felt after using up too much mana in my floor boss fight. Just nowhere near as bad. Rubbing my eyes, I look out into the distance of the night sky. Still, there's only darkness in all directions. Ember speaks again to ease my confusion. I believe we're getting close. In response, I scan the wide-open desert in all directions as far as my radars will let me. A few things all begin to hit me all at once. Below us, no more than 5 kilometers ahead, I sense 3 enemies all between levels 460 and 470. There's a very high chance these are my teammates. After a quick appraisal, I confirm without a doubt it's them. How long was I out? Another 6 hours, master. I nod, sensing thousands of other data points off in the distance about 7 to 8 kilometers north. There are too many to count. Hundreds of the are over level 200, and thousands under 100. It's the same leveling distribution as back in Vice City. It must be a very well-developed area, unlike the towns we visited so far. This must be Solara. There's a very odd reading coming from further out into the desert behind the city. Either my perception skill doesn't reach far enough in my fatigue state, or there is some interference in the readings. It's like there's an outer edge to how far I can sense. Anything. Maybe there are just no more mana readings to sense out in this barren wasteland of a desert. Well, I hope at least. This void in my perception skills bugs me a bit. There isn't much I can do about it other than wait to see what the interference is myself. With all these questions racing through my head, I just shrug and focus on the more important data. My teammates are close. Ember, I'll be making my way down soon. Bring us right above the cloud line, then leave the rest to me. I believe our next meeting will be in the labyrinth, so get ready. I see a toothy grin form on the dragon's face as its glossy black wings tilt downward to change our flight direction. We soar toward the ground, and I feel the presence of my teammates getting closer and closer. Once we approach a perceivable range, I open up my item storage and hop off Ember's back. Thanks for the ride. We'll be back in battle soon. As I fly ahead, the white spatial magic appears behind me. Ember flies straight into my open white spinning portal and disappears. The fast-moving air flies by me as I begin to plummet toward the ground. It's pitch black in the cool of night, but I can tell how far away my teammates are and know just how much wind magic I'll need to stop myself from hitting the ground too fast. So, in the meantime, I relax. There's a calming sensation, the weightlessness of falling, moving so fast through the air, feeling the wind push against my skin, but still feel like I don't even compare in weight to a feather. If I spin onto my back and let the air push me up, it's like I'm resting on an invisible bed of clouds. Close to a full minute of enjoying the moment of bliss passes. Then I finally activate my wind magic and slow to a halt, hovering just 100 meters over the desert floor. I can see the dim glow of a white magic arrow illuminating 2 camels slowly moving across the flat sandy ground. I approach with causation, igniting a small flame in my hand. After a few seconds, a wave of my telepathy skill is sent out to the online teammate awake right now. It's Jay. I've made it back. Glad to see you've made it so far. Immediately, I watch the archer turn and draw his bow in my direction. The arrow glows much brighter as I drift down to the desert floor. Once he sees my face, the arrow fades back to its dim glow and I see a sigh of relief wash over his face. Good to see you too. You're just in time. Both Abby and Maria are asleep again. It seems like they took the day shift, and Ari is up again in the middle of the night. I put out my flames and come down to sit back on the rightmost camel, taking the reins from Ari with a firm nod. Maria turns in her sleep as I sit in front of her. Ari speaks up. You flew all the way here in the dark? I let out a sigh. Yeah, something like that. Then, open up my item storage and let a handful of mutant shards fall out into my open palm. It was worth it. All 4 of us will be able to gain another 15 million in mana control. Minimum. I let the gems clink around in my hands while the archer responds. How was the boss? Did you get any good loot? I smirk and show him my ring. 100% mental strength buff. It's a nice once, isn't it? He agrees, eyeing it curiously. After that, we continue north as I update him on the break, details of Tier 2 mana control, and the power difference between the boss I fought and the ones we faced prior. Of course, without revealing Ember or any sensitive information that I wouldn't like to share. Although I trust my team, I've run my mouth a bit too much about a few things lately. If I want something kept quiet, I better not speak of it at all. Information is no longer a secret once more than one person knows about its existence. One thing I don't mind showing off is the rest of the loot. I take out the core from my storage, but Ari hasn't seen anything like it either in his life. It's agreed that any loot from the boss is mine to keep. Well, more like it's agreed that no one here can even make use of that core but me. Finally, the topic of Aries' hometown comes up again. We're getting close to where he mentioned it was when we first entered the Dark Continent, so I thought I'd bring it up. What he tells me is a bit off-putting, and not what I was expecting. We can visit my hometown after the break is cleared. Ari points forward and off into the desert as the sun begins to rise. It's off that way, I'm positive. It's been quite a while since I left, but it may be nice to see some familiar faces. I don't say a word, realizing when I scanned the desert earlier, that portion of desert was impossible to detect. Not a single soul or mana reading came up in my mind's eye. While thinking of an appropriate response, I hear Maria's voice from behind me and two hands hug me from behind. Jay, you made it back. At the same moment, Abby begins to wake up as well, murmuring something while rubbing her eyes. The sunlight of day begins to flood in, ridding the desert of darkness. Our conversation comes to a halt and all four of us stare forward at the sight before us. Shining silver towers glistening in the morning sun. I count 6 of them in total, each easily 30 stories tall. With long clear glass windows and the golden reflection of the rising sun showing the city in all its glory, I'm left speechless. Hundreds of small buildings line the grid-like streets below. Workers from all walks of life are already starting their daily routines. The 4 of us will be entering the city soon. We made it to Solara. Chapter 248. We approach the silver towers as the morning sun reflects golden light onto our approaching camels. This city looks a lot more developed than any of the other smaller towns we've been through in the Dark Continent so far. If I had to guess, it looks like tens of thousands of people could easily be housed here. With high rises of apartments in residential areas, shops indoors and outdoors selling hunters' gear, as well as basic necessities that unleveled villagers can use. Even this early in the morning, people are beginning to line the streets. Ari speaks up. This is it. Welcome to Solara. It's huge. But honestly, with all the hype, this is about what I expected. Where is the Tower of Dreams? That's where we need to meet up with those 2 elites, right? Ari points to a slim curved silver tower between a ridged rectangular one and a very light-colored one on its other side, each roughly the same height. Right this way. We have 2 or 3 hours until the raid begins. How's everyone feeling? Maria replies, still staring up at the beautiful shimmering city. I feel great. Abby stares up while rubbing her eyes, not saying a word as we enter the city streets and off of the sandy desert sand. They're made of tightly placed cobblestone, but in such a straight line and meticulously crafted it seems some heavy machinery or maybe magic kill was used to fit these streets together. The buildings, for as far as the eye can see, are made of very modern and most definitely imported steel and bricks, possibly from outside the walls. I don't see where all of this metal and building material could have come from otherwise. Unless there are factories and power plants out here that I haven't seen, there must be more cooperation with the association than it seems on the surface. This reminds me, hey, everyone, hoods up. We may have bounties in this city too. Immediately, everyone follows my advice and we cover our faces with the red hoods of our cloaks. It doesn't hurt to be cautious. Ari leads us into the city. The morning sun shines a yellow light on the street vendors setting up their shops while we walk further into town. Merchants begin shouting at us as we walk by. E and D class gear, straight from the dungeons. Get M while you still can. A woman's voice comes from behind us next. Potions. Potions and mana crystals, 50% off until noon. I look around curiously, then speak to Ari. Is there a dungeon system out here? I don't sense any active portals at all. He slowly nods. Yeah, they box each dungeon up like back in Dry Rock to make sure if one breaks it won't destroy the city. A lot of them are closer to the center of town. I nod as the footsteps of camels echo against the street. Interesting. The 6 towers get closer and closer, and the shops that line the streets become more and more high-tech. It almost feels wrong to be walking through a city like this on 2 animals. Training rooms, graded up to B-class shielding. 60 minutes for a room, only 1 silver per hunter. My head turns as I hear the sound of a young, energetic man's voice speak up. I bring my ride to a halt and whisper under my breath. This could be perfect. Maria speaks up from behind me. What's all this about? Why are we stopping for a training room? I nod. I think it'd be a good idea. I farmed a lot more of the shards last night. We need a place to absorb them before our mission. Right? I agree. Abby speaks up next. I think this is a good idea too. We might as well use all the time we have left to get stronger. All of us jump off and I take 8 silver coins out while speaking up to the tall blonde-haired worker. We'd like a room. 2 full hours for all 4 of us. The man accepts my silver as Ari ties up the camels to a post outside. The store in front of us is about 3 stories high. Its first-floor walls to the entrance are made of glass to show the white walls of the elegant-looking shop inside. It's a long rectangular storefront, possibly 7 meters wide and no more than 15 meters long. We all walk toward the stairs in the back that lead us up to a large metal door on the 2nd floor. The man speaks up. Here you all are. He's surprisingly easygoing. No ID needed, no name, nothing at all. I guess this is just how they do things out here. With a swift motion, he taps on a small square black plate attached to the door. It begins counting down from 121 minutes. I gave you an extra minute to get situated. The door will open if you push the handle or once the counter hits 0, so please don't continue your training after this time. The shielding won't be activated unless I enter the code. The door clicks open to reveal a bright white room, similar to the flooring downstairs. It has stations of shielding fitted together that all seem to be carrying shades of white. It hums and creates a perfect barrier all the same. I step inside while replying. Sounds good. I appreciate it. On the inside of the door, there's an identical timer, ticking down the minutes and seconds. 1:20:49. The moment we all walk inside and the door closes behind us with a loud click, I open up my item storage and begin dumping out the glowing blue shards. Let's get started. The shards begin falling down onto the bussing white floor. There's over 500 of them. Every last one is from a mutant, so we'll have to be a lot more careful about absorbing them at first. I think we can all handle it just fine though. I let out a laugh, but my 3 teammates stare down at the gems and then back up to me with wide eyes. Maria is the first to speak up. 500 mutants. There's a glimmer in Abby's eye as she prematurely glows green. Ari smirks and crosses his arms. Well, let's get to work. I pick up one of the blue stones in each hand and reply. Let's. Over the next hour, we all take turns burning through the white and blue shards. As predicted, everyone manages to absorb them just fine. At first, Abby and Maria were in pretty bad condition after each run-through, but by the end of our session, everyone can handle them with ease. In just under an hour, we managed to finish them all. I can sense the differences in mana output from my teammates already. Their power has grown drastically. Abby and Maria by almost 100% and Ari has grown nearly 40% stronger in just a short period of time. I've grown too, but not nearly enough. Looking at the clock on the door, I see 59:32 remaining. Just under an hour left. Abby speaks up with sweat rolling down her forehead next to a pile of empty mana potions. Not bad, right? We made it through all of them with time to spare. I reach into my item storage and pull out the Ogre King's core. Not all of them. There's one more. I'm going to need some extra help for this one. I also pull out every last MP potion I have on me. I have a feeling you may need these. I'm going to need to be restored while simultaneously absorbing the MP from this final core to finish in time. Abby walks over while Maria and Ari watch from afar. She stares down at the vibrating gem for a moment, then looks back up at me. Let's do it. Ari knows exactly what's about to happen, so he speaks up before we actually begin. It may be a good idea for us to leave. This may get intense, won't it? Plus, it'd be best to let the association know we're in town. I think for a moment, then nod. Maybe it would be best if we meet you at the tower. He looks over to Maria and she shrugs, replying, That works for me. I'd like to have some time to talk with my elite trainer before the raid too. Maybe she has some helpful tips about my new mana control abilities. I raise an eyebrow at this, but no, it's not the time to ask. Her statement confirms my suspicions about the white-haired elite being Maria's guide. I'd like to meet her too. I turn to Abby, then back to Maria. We'll finish as fast as we can and meet you there. The archer and ice mage both open the heavy metal door and disappear with a click. They're leaving us with a camel and meeting in the lobby of the Tower of Dreams once we've finished. It's best to think about that later and focus on the important things now. I activate my Plunderer skill while simultaneously turning on all of my stat-boosting buffs and perception abilities at once. I won't be consuming this core like the other shards. I'll need to burn through the MP using active skills. This is going to be quite the challenge. Glowing bright gold, red, black, and now a hint of blue from the Ogre King's mana residue. I push my mind and body to the limits. As soon as I begin, the warm sensation of Abby's hands on my back tells me that her restore skill has been activated. With just 1 hour remaining, I'll attempt to absorb this entire core. Chapter 249. Black, red, pink, and golden aura fill the room. The green restoration magic blends with the blue swirling residue to combine with my own aura and make a light purple glow resonate through the entire training room. The entire facility shakes and trembles under the intense pressure of over 100 million MP flowing through it, but it holds together. An hour passes. I feel like the power coursing through my veins is on a level incomparable to my prior strength. Click. The door of the training room opens and I walk out. Visible light purple mana residue floods out from the white-walled room and fills the stairway. Some rises up to the 3rd floor, while most sinks down the steps to invade the lobby of the shop. Abby and I make our way down through the dispersing purple-tinted mana fog, and I hear every footstep echo throughout my mind. The full outline of the man sitting in the lobby is so clear in my mind's eye. The minuscule vibrating particles of mana in his body are as clear as day. My all-seeing eye isn't even activated. I've started to develop a new understanding and control over my environment. I lift my hands through the air, letting the excess mana swirl around my fingertips. Then, without my Plunderer skill, I'm able to feel small amounts of the particles enter my skin. It's not nearly enough to use in combat. Only 3-5 MP can be absorbed per minute at this rate, but still, it's a sensation I had no idea was impossible without my skills until now. I'm on the cusp of Tier 2 mana control. This is an entirely new level. A shaky voice rings out from the shop's lobby. Hello? The now much more nervous store clerk's voice rings out through the fog. I can sense that the front door is open. Most of the residue is pouring out into the street and dispersing, but it's still very thick inside the room. He continues in a quick manner as I slowly walk through the shop with Abby behind me. I hope your session went well. Please stop by again anytime. I smile, looking up at the outline of the city through the glass windows as we approach them. Sure, thanks. We walk out the front door and the morning sun hits us in all its glory. I take in a breath of fresh air and slowly move my eyes back and forth over the busy street. It feels like everything and everyone is moving a lot slower. My ability to perceive reality has shifted immensely. In just a few hours, I've grown 3 times as strong, so Lara has become much more lively now too. The streets are filled with more vendors as well as townspeople heading to and from their work. Just like in the Vice region, 50% of the people walking around are covered in good quality magic gear and look like hunters. The laughter, constant chatter, and vendors shouting fills my ears. Staring off into the endless streets, I'm finally interrupted by Abby's voice as she unties the camel and brings it over to me. Ready? We'll be late if we don't head out now. Still staring out into the entire city, lightly activating my perception skills, I can sense everything, and I mean everything. Every single person's average mana controls reading, level, magic items, and even the locations of the closed-off dungeon breaks. Everything becomes clear. I reply promptly, but still distracted. Right? Let's go. We hop on and head through the bustling city toward the Tower of Dreams. Both of us put our hoods up like before, but I can't help looking around at every new market square or unique we pass. The world looks crystal clear. It's like I've been missing out on all of this information in front of my face this whole time. Nothing looks necessarily different, It just all has new meaning. I slowly begin to adjust to my newfound sensory abilities as we approach the shining silver towers. The one we stop under is curved on all sides, creating a long, yet thin point nearing the top. There must only be a single narrow penthouse up on the 30th floor. As soon as we come to a halt in front of the blindingly silver and white entrance, Abby speaks in my ear. "You should probably use that disguise skill. Your eyes are glowing pretty bright." She takes out her transmission tablet and flips the backside toward me. I see 2 glowing white reflections in it. Immediately, I activate my special grade conceal perk and calm down their glow, reverting my appearance back to its darker dull state. Good call. Abby hands the camel to a vendor nearby with other similar rides. An old man is taking care of nearly a dozen of them for 20 bronze each a day. He smiles and thanks us. Then we walk near the building's entrance. Once close enough, the front sliding door opens and I immediately see a few familiar faces. Ari, Maria, and Fisher. He smirks and waves to me from behind my teammates, speaking up in a loud, confident voice. "Who would have guessed they sent you for after us? Good to see you, Jay." Before I can respond, I'm distracted by a tall, fair-skinned, white-haired woman who walks out with a light white and blue aura trailing behind her. The woman's eyes are the same as her aura. She puts on a thin smile, only making her presence more alluring. She wears black clothing with no armor. It contrasts with her skin and hair, making them pop even more. On her side, she carries 2 curved swords in light blue sheaths. From this distance, I can already sense her mana control is incredibly refined, possibly nearing mine in my recently upgraded state. I instantly appraise and inspect the woman to find her level and skills. LV 504. Active skills: Combat Magic, Advanced Ice Summoning, Dual Wielding Legendary Grade. Then my eyes shift to those swords. Enchanted Katana Set, Ice Aspect, Agility plus 131%, Speed plus 106%, Strength plus 105%. She's an ice magic user with a legendary sword-wielding skill. Interesting. Also, with a level this high, she'd technically a B-class hunter. My eyes shift back to the blue-haired swordsman, Fisher. He's still waving to me with a smug yet happy look on his face. I can sense his approximate mana control output too. As I assumed, it was just a bit higher than mine when I entered the training room. Now, I'm at least 2 times more refined than him. He speaks up again. "These 2 told me you were getting in a little extra training before the raid? Ha! Looks like you'll need it." I let out a sigh, walking over to the 4 of them and replying, "Good to see you too." We all greet each other with smiles outside the tall silver building on the road sidewalk. I introduce Abby to Fisher, and it seems like the others have already been acquainted in the hour we were gone. Maria is the first to introduce me to her trainer. "Jay, meet Lydia. Lydia, meet Jay." The dual-wielding ice mage eyes me up and down for a solid 3 seconds. Her blue eyes pulse every so slightly. I doubt anyone else can pick up the mana readings. She puts out a hand while speaking in a smooth and steady voice. "You're much stronger than I was expecting. Maybe the director hasn't lost it." "It's nice to meet you, Jay." I take her hand and shake it. "You're much stronger than I was expecting too. This break must be much more difficult than I was led to believe." Everyone else in the party doesn't say a word. We all watch as she turns to the center of the city, beginning to glow much brighter white and blue. Yes, there's a lot to explain. We have a difficult mission ahead of us. Now, I'm feeling much more confident about our odds of success. Chapter 250. Yes, there's a lot to explain. We have a difficult mission ahead of us. Now, I'm feeling much more confident about our odds of success. The long white hair of the new mysterious ice mage blows back and forth in the weak breeze as she looks off into the city. It's in the exact same direction I've been probing out ever since I stepped out of that training chamber. The exact direction where I can feel a dense area of dungeon portals all covered up by dense layers of mana shielding. It's less than a kilometer away, and some readings are up to 30 meters underground. Others are near or closer to the surface, but the majority of the energy readings are clearly coming from beneath the city. With my all-seeing eye on full blast, it's as plain as day where they're located. I'm the first to reply. All right, let's head off then. I'm sure there's not much time to waste. Explain the details on the way. She nods and we're off. We leave our camels behind and begin walking through the city streets. It's getting too crowded and cluttered in town with everything now in full motion. Bringing them along would be a hassle. As we get further away from the towers, the streets open up even more into lively markets. Palm trees hand over the bright-colored shops and more towers can be seen off in the distance. This seems to be a much more casual restaurant and shopping district for locals. Both Fisher and Lydia walk with their faces fully uncovered, without a care in the world. I'm the first to ask about it. Hey, aren't the people around here not too fond of association hunters? Especially elites. I saw bounty posters with our faces on them. Don't you two have prices on your heads too? Fisher smirks and turns around to comment on my claim. Yeah. We've had bounties out here for as long as I can remember. It's no big deal. No one's powerful enough to contain hunters like us. If they were, they'd have much better things to do than pick a fight with the association. I nod to myself as he continues. Most of the smaller towns and settlements deep in the desert tend to keep the anti-hunter traditions alive. There isn't much else to do out there. Hating on a government is all they can really do to pass the time. I open my mouth, but Lydia begins to speak from my left side, so I listen. In short, don't worry about it. The people here are just people. Like you and me, they have their own lives to worry about. We have a much more important mission to concentrate on. I nod, then take down my hood. I'm not fully convinced we're in the clear here. There's always an exception to the rule, especially when money is involved. It makes sense, but to be honest, I'm a bit distracted by a whole lot of other things. The bounties were never too much of a worry for me. The thought still at the forefront of my mind is the immense power difference between Fisher and Lydia. More like the power difference between Lydia and anyone I've ever met before. Although this is the first time I've truly ever been able to sense mana control levels, hers seems off the charts. Now that she's less than 3 meters away, and practically leaking out pure ice-imbued energy, it's clear her mana control is definitely at least on par with mine. I'll have to see her in action to get a full idea of her abilities. Then again, I'll have to test myself in action to comprehend the full extent of my new power as well. I'm itching to try them out, so I speak up. Is there any important information about this break we need to know? We've all been in labyrinths before. Is there something special about that one? The white-haired mage nods, replying to me without looking over at any of us. Her cool blue eyes stare off into the city. Yes, this one is a bit different than most. Everyone listens, interested in what she has to say as we walk straight toward the mana readings I've been tracking. Well, the labyrinth break has already begun. There are a few teams inside right now. The moment she says this, a pulse of energy comes from the dungeon zone and ripples through the entire city. With such a fine-tuned frequency, it's near impossible to see the wave move by, but with any level of mana perception, the gray shockwave is clear as day. Lydia speaks right on schedule with a smile. Speaking of the break, did you feel that? I give a firm nod, and to my surprise, my teammates do too. Maria replies, yeah, I feel all tingly. Abby speaks next. Is that the break? Or just a coincidence? Ari stares straight ahead, focused, but not saying a word. Fisher does the same. Lydia explains. That was another floor collapse. I believe it's on floor 18 now. I raise an eyebrow. A floor collapse? So this break collapses floor by floor. We come into visible range of what I can only assume is the city of Solara's version of a dungeon hub. Lydia points forward. Correct. The break was up to floor 15 when Fisher and I arrived. Every floor from 1 to 14 has already completely collapsed and disappeared. This is the third pulse I've felt since we explored the labyrinth ourselves, so it must be the 18th. If we entered the labyrinth now, that would be considered its first floor. All 6 of us walk toward the far side of the hub. There are large metal contraptions similar to the one I was trapped in near Dry Rock all over the open cobblestone square. I count 8 in total. They each have a solid silver metal door on the front of them, and using my perception skill, I can tell that half of them lead underground with the same level of mana shedding built into the walls and stairs. One in particular, near the far side of the square, goes the deepest, has the most armed guards standing by it, and is giving off the most intense mana radiation from the ground below. I whisper under my breath, "Eyes it. That one's the break." Hunters crowd the square as we walk forward past the large metal crates with large black lettering hung on their front sides. They're labeled not by class, but by level. 0, 100, 100 to 200, 200 to 300, 300 plus. It seems like they have safety regulations out here too. Guards are checking each hunter's status before entering any dungeon. I watch as certain hunters cover up information with their hands or gear, and the guards don't seem to mind. All they're looking for is the level, and they aren't asking for any ID or payment either. As we approach the final break, the sign above it doesn't stay a level at all. It just reads out "restricted" in large black lettering, and 8 guards level 300 to 350 stand outside of it. Fisher speaks up as we approach. "You know, Lydia and I made it to floor 19 no problem the other day. The director just wanted us to stay back and not take on the floor bow dash." He almost chokes on his words, then looks over his shoulders to make sure no one's listening in. The blue-haired swordsman leans in closer to us and talks in a much lower tone. "He told us not to take on the final labyrinth boss alone. We reckon this one goes up over 25 floors. Maybe more. Once we take out the floor boss, we'll all be stuck in the labyrinth until we finish the break." Lydia interrupts. "That's true. And the breaks will continue to happen out here even while we climb. Solaren hunters will have to keep the floors at bay, starting with the 18th while we climb and race against the clock to take out the final boss." I nod. "So, we have one try, and the boss has to be defeated before the entire labyrinth collapses." She responds while looking ahead as a guard waves us down with a friendly expression on his face, looking like he's been expecting us to come. That's right. The final boss could escape the confines of its prison if we don't defeat it in time. One shot, or else this entire city will succumb to a B-class level threat. If we can't stop it, no one here can. Chapter 251. A friendly-looking guard, just above level 300 with a body-hardening skill in a full suit of C-class grade armor, waves us down from almost 10 meters away. Lydia raises her gaze to meet his as the man yells out, "You all made it back just in time, and you've brought reinforcements. Even better." She crosses her arms as we all approach, and then comes to a halt right beneath the bold black lettering of the sign spelling out, "Restricted." "Yes, we have made it back. How are things on your end?" "It seems like we're up to the 18th floor." The man gulps and his tone completely changes. "If that's true, the collapses are only happening faster. It was less than 6 hours since the last one." He pauses. "And 11 or 12 hours before that was the one before. And almost a full day dash." The white-haired mage cuts him off. "So half the time between every collapse. At this rate, it should be completely break in 6 hours. The director sure does like to cut it close." He nods in response. "It seems that way. We don't have any hunters eligible to defeat floor 20 and above right now. We'll have to leave the higher floors in your hands." His eyes move to me, then Abby, Fisher, Maria, and Ari. He looks back to Lydia before continuing. "A team of 6 elites. I'm happy to see all of you here, but are you sure you'll be able to make it up to floor 25? Even split up? That's well past your classification of a B-class threat." I raise an eyebrow and interject. "What do you mean split up? Why would we have to do that?" Fisher laughs and butts in. "I mentioned this earlier to your teammates, but you weren't here to listen." Abby and I turn to each other, then back over to the smug blue-haired hunter as he takes the lead. While we climb the labyrinth floors, the ones we venture through won't just disappear because we've passed it. The entire labyrinth will only collapse once the final boss is taken out. I nod slowly, piecing together this information. The water mage continues. So, while some of us continue to climb, others will have to wait behind on lower floors to protect the city from the dangers within. If we just abandon the lower floors before they fully break, monsters can easily run loose through that shielding. He points to the massive rectangular metal contraption in front of us. The guard closes his eyes and nods while turning to bang on the side of the silver wall 3 times. Yeah, this thing can hold back level 350 to 400 level threats at most. It's nearly impossible to craft shielding at a higher grade than that in mass qualities without spending a fortune. The surges have never been this bad. We never thought the labyrinth would break. I stay quiet, as the chatter of my teammates and hundreds of hunters in the square all begin blending together. It seems this is really a one-of-a-kind phenomenon. Labyrinth breaks are this rare that they never even know to prepare for it. There must be some incredible loot, and even stringer monsters in there. The face of that archdemon's body double flashes in my mind's eye as I grin and mutter to myself. Looks like I'll get to go all out. Fisher throws a friendly arm around my shoulder. Yeah, that's right. Let's see if you've improved this week. Maybe you can guard the 18th and 19th floor while Lydia and I finish the job up top. I reply, seeing my teammates get riled up behind me at this statement. Yeah, we'll see what happens, I guess. The B-class ice mage lets out a chuckle, then turns away back to the guard, handing him a tablet. He begins to sign off and write information down as I think to myself. Fisher can't sense my mana control at all. It makes sense why he'd think I'm still rather weak in comparison to him. Just less than a week ago in real-world time, he trained me to finally defeat a monster on the 19th floor of a labyrinth. Those monsters were barely breaching level 400. Plus, I'm the strongest of all my team members. If that was my power back then, he must still think even more poorly of them. In reality, all 3 of them are nearing his mana control level themselves. I'm sure he'll come to his senses once we finally get onto the battlefield. The corners of my lips begin to curl. The now very stern and serious guard unlatches the thick silver door while speaking up. Metal on metal scrapes and a blinding white light pours out of the contraption. The light hum of shielding fills all our ears mixed with his steady voice. All right, you 6. On behalf of every Solaran here, I thank you for fighting. The average citizen may not ever know the magnitudes of evil you're about to face. The guard pauses as my foot touches the cool, hard white surface of the shielding room. Then, continues. I may not ever know myself, but we thank you. Best of luck in there. After that, there's silence. We all enter the metal box and see a white staircase heading down underground. Everything is white. The walls, the floor, the stairs, everything. It's just like the training room we left in the city, but shaped like a stairway downward with twists and turns having no apparent end in sight. The 6 of us head down about 10 meters, then make a sharp right turn, leaving us with flat white, slightly vibrating ground for another 5 meters or so. The footsteps of the 5 other team members around me are slowly drowned out by the increased humming noises in the tight white walls. Another staircase brings us 10 meters further underground. The small flat hall leading to the next staircase glows a tint of red. Wisps of fog creep around the corner and I can sense there's a portal very close by. As we turn the corner to head down the next staircase, it reveals itself before us. A violently spinning dungeon break comes into full view at the bottom of the next flight of stairs. The labyrinth break spins and vibrates, shaking the shielding all around us just slightly. I've seen worse breaks, but the edges of the spinning mass on its edges is dissolving into the air and beginning to slowly fill this white-walled hallway with dark red mana-imbued mist. In a meter of hours, it'll definitely be a completely different scenario here. I reach under my armor and cloak to pull out my sword. Everyone around me either begins to glow, draws their weapons, or both. The 6 of us all step down the last staircase and jump through without a word. This is our mission. We enter the labyrinth. Red swirling mist clouds my vision as I step through. The dark crimson fog slowly fades to white as transfer magic activates. Everyone is brought to a rugged mountain range, covered in rocks without many trees in sight. The ground is hard and brown. For as far as the eye can see, it's littered with stones and occasional dark green shrubs. Looking ahead, the sky is gray and the mountains stretch out indefinitely. I whisper under my breath as we walk forward. The 18th floor, this should be a breeze. We'll be fighting the labyrinth boss in no time. Chapter 252. The six of us walk out into the rocky dungeon under the gray sky. Rolling brown hills and valleys fill our vision as far as the eye can see. About 3 kilometers away, I can sense a few groups of monsters clumped together. Some even occasionally disappear from my radar. The Solaran hunters must be here fending off monsters waiting for our labyrinth ascent. Lydia takes the lead and Fisher follows right behind her. I don't mind. This climb will be fast. The fighting won't get serious enough for me to want to join in until far past the 20th floor. I follow, continuing to scan the environment around me and testing the limits of my newly enhanced mana control. With Plunderer, I'm able to instantly take MP from the ground beneath my feet, and even the air around me. Mana is so abundant here that I almost feel invincible. My perception range has increased dramatically too. The entire dungeon is clear to me without overpowering my all-seeing eye one bit. It may be a smaller dungeon, but I still would have had to re-up my MP bar with this much skill strain if I tried using this much perception ability even yesterday. Each individual object is much clearer to me too. I can sense and track the swirling magic in every rock, monster, and mountain within the confines of these dungeon walls. The closer it is to me, obviously the more detail I can perceive. I see small traces of MP entering Lydia's body, just like when I attempted to absorb mana from the mist upon leaving the treating capsule in the city. It seems she's constantly working on her skills and pushing the limits as well. As for my combat skills, I won't have a chance to test them out anytime soon. Though my teammates might. Just 500 meters in, we come across a team of hunters fending off a group of mutant high orcs. They wear red robes, all have decent gear and solid combat skills. A team of 5 level 350-360s is taking on these level 370 to 380 orcs without much problem. One of them has a major team strength buff skill, so they're using it very strategically. He's the one that calls out to us as we pass by in range. The elites. Good to see you've made it. We have 2 other squads on this floor, and 1 more up on the 19th. Everything 20 and above is up to you power holders. I raise an eyebrow at the power holders line. I haven't heard that one used before. Maybe he's referring to mana control users? Fisher replies, "Keep up the good work. We'll have this labyrinth cleared before you know it." The hunter smiles, pushing out another golden wave of energy for his teammates as the final mutant high orc is taken out. They wave us off and search for more. The further into the dungeon we travel, the more orcs show up. Without much effort at all, each of us is able to one-shot the creatures without batting an eye. We pick up the pace and begin to run. After 40 minutes and passing the 2 other groups keeping orcs at bay, we mark it to the boss room. It's a few shades darker gray than usual, but nothing too out of the ordinary. We enter immediately. Maria and Abby slice the boss into pieces without a moment's hesitation. The High Orc King falls to the boss room's rocky ground, and we're all transported to the 19th floor. As we all materialize back onto a flat, glossy, hard black surface, Fisher turns to us and speaks. "Now, I'll be the first to say that was pretty impressive, but let's see how all of you fare against a floor like this." He smirks and points out at the jagged, crystal-like maze of a dungeon, then turns back to me. "Looks familiar, doesn't it?" I nod. It does. The crisp air of a berserker giant dungeon fills my lungs as we step forward into the mazes of glossy black crystal before us. I could easily fly over all of this and avoid every berserker with ease. Those green-eyed, muscle-covered, red-skinned fiends are rather annoying to deal with. It seems everyone else is thinking in a similar school of thought. Abby is quick to activate her earth magic and make stone steps above the floor, while both Maria and Lydia have the same idea to create waves of ice angles upwards to the sky at an angle easy to walk on. I follow on their leftover residue, using trace amounts of mana manipulation in my feet to mold the ice to my liking. It ensures I don't slip. Moving above the twisting black mazes and caverns will save us a lot of time. As we walk further into the sky, balancing on the archways of rock and stone, I watch Monster run around maniacally in the mazes below. We would have spent way too much time fighting if we stayed down there. The 6 of us almost make it halfway through the whole Dun-Egon before seeing anything too interesting. I spy a team of 2 hunters, a man with bright yellow hair using lighting magic and a dark-skinned woman wielding daggers moving with incredible speed. They're facing off against a 4-meter-tall berserker giant alone, and winning. The lightning summoner continuously shocks the monster while the dagger wielder with an extreme speed skill runs circles around the beast. In under a minute, the creature falls to the floor. Busted armor, sword, and all. We're in quite a hurry, so Abby, Maria, and Lydia don't slow their pace as we continue to use elemental magic and travel through the sky above the dangers below. The lighting user notices as we pass and waves while yelling out, "Just in time. We'll hold down the 19th floor. Don't worry one bit." With that, the 6 of us continue forward. My teammates are brimming with energy. I'm sure they're all very confident they can take on the monsters down below. I'm confident in them too, but one person here isn't. Fisher speaks up as we begin to near the end of the dungeon. The boss room portal comes into view. This is what sets him off. "Hey, are you going to do any fighting? Don't you think we should gauge your strength? I'd like to see you fight one of these mobs." Ari shrugs. "Sure. I'd like to fight one too." Abby and Maria happily reply, showing their excitement and eagerness to fight one of the odd-looking creatures that we keep passing below. I speak up too. "I'd rather wait to fight something more interesting." As all of the misshapen crystallized black mountain peaks and low maze-filled valleys pass, we finally make it to a wide-open area of flat ground with the boss room portal just 100 meters away. It's a hard black floor that we can nearly see our selections in while looking down. To our left and right side, there are high jagged walls of hexagonal crystals in all shapes and sizes. Granting our wish, 2 berserkers come running our way straight on. From the right side, I can sense a 3rd slowly creeping in from behind a crystal structure. Abby and Maria run forward charging their blades and let out attacks before any of us can even blink. The berserker lurking off to our right, behind a small ledge, jumps out with its green eyes locked straight ahead. Ari releases a fully charged, glowing white arrow between Fisher and Lydia straight at the monster's forehead. Seconds later, the 3 creatures that attacked are blown to pieces on the spot. I let out a laugh, walking forward like nothing happened. My teammates basically do the same, powering down their skills and not bothering to check for loot, fully focused on the boss room portal ahead. The white-haired mage speaks to Maria before we enter. "Looks like you've gotten a lot stronger since the last time we trained together." "How interesting." She carries her gaze over all of us, stopping on me, then turning her head to the boss room portal. "Well, that's good. The more availability of mana control users, the better. We'll need it." Fisher is left speechless. He just follows after that display and glows a dull blue. Like that, we all step forward into the swirling gray portal to see the massive Berserker King waiting for us. I remember facing this boss vividly. This final breath skill is a deadly buff, one that I have now, but would rather never use or face again if I didn't have to. I murmur under my breath as my 3 teammates approach it. "One hit kill that monster. It has a nasty buff on low health." Ari smirks, charging an arrow as the blue and green mages run ahead with their weapons drawn. "I was planning on it." A flash of white light along with flying ice and rock erupts from the scene as the monster lets out a single roar. The boss is defeated in an instant. I grip my sword and stare straight ahead, eagerly awaiting the transfer magic to take us to the next floor. After a small celebration, it does. Everyone is looking forward to fighting the stronger monsters that we came here to face. We're all brought to a narrow black passageway just like the 2 others I've been in before. It's no more than 20 meters long and the walls are lined with dark stone. This small area is a floor connector that only spawns for very special events. The lower floor boss and the final boss are the only times I've ever seen it before. As I grin and move forward while igniting my sword, the white-haired mage's voice rings out in my ears. "So you've been in one of these before, haven't you?" I pause, but she continues before I can think of a reply. Every labyrinth has very different lower floor bosses. So if you face the one in the capital and think this one will be the same, you're mistaken. I turn with tightened lips full of curiosity. She speaks again, moving forward at the same pace as me. It should be at similar strength, but every special boss is unique to its labyrinth. We've never found one that matches another. Unlike the dungeon floors, even if you're strong enough, it's still best to be cautious. Anything can happen on a floor like this. We all stand in silence, staring at the slowly spinning dark gray portal at the end of the Blackstone Hall. It vibrates and lets off a low humming waiting for us to enter. There are wisps of jet black energy trailing off its edges, slowly filling the small hallway with white, gray, and black mana. It's just like the mana coming off of the break portal when we entered. Not violent or unstable, but emanating power. I pause and observe the sight before me for a solid 10 seconds, then finally speak up. Understood. Let's do this. Chapter 253. We slowly walk forward while activating our skills. The white, green, blue, and red lights shine through the gray mana-imbued fog until we're completely engulfed. White transfer magic blinds me as I push my perception skills to their limits. What Lydia said stuck out to me. Special bosses are much more intelligent than most. It's best to stay on guard even if I'm clearly strong enough to defeat it. If this is going to be a brand new floor boss, I'd like to find out everything there is to know about it before it gets a chance to make its move. The white light around me fades away, revealing the light purple tint of the lower floor boss domain. 400 M. LV. 440. LV. 440. LV. 440. LV. 440. 250 M. LV. 435. LV. 435. LV. 435. LV. 435. LV. 435. LV. 435. 100 M. LV. 430. LV. 430. LV. 430. LV. 430. LV. 430. LV. 430. Readings pop up all over my inspect and enemy detection skills. The floor boss minions levels fill my mind's eye as my gaze tightens and focuses on the enormous tree at the back of the dungeon. Not what I was expecting at all. Its trunk is easily 100 meters in diameter and grows high into the dark purple sky, spreading green leaves in all directions. It's creating cover from above for over a kilometer high. The thick brown roots of the overgrown plant twist and turn all over the dungeon floor, creating mounds of rock and dirt hundreds of meters high and opening up earth down below for presumably the same distance. They're ferociously searching for nutrients to support the massive tree to grow more. This creates a very odd landscape. Large red circular fruits hang from the branches that look big enough to crush a small town if they were to fall to the ground. They look like overgrown apples but have a thin mana shielding around each of them. I whisper under my breath, "I've never seen anything like this." As these words leave my lips, a pair of crimson-red eyes appear from the backside of the tree in the darkness. Dense, invisible mana comes radiating from them. I feel a wave of intimidation hit me as I appraise and inspect the lurking creature in question. I shiver out of reflex and watch my teammates bear mind attack, but manage to stay on their feet. My attention turns back to the boss. Its dark black scales glimmer purple and green as it twists and slithers around the branches near the top of the tree's trunk. Still hidden in the dark purple fog and shadows, it lets out a loud hiss and shows off its white fangs, welcoming us to its lair. Another intense wave of energy hits all of us as the monster's status comes into my mind's eye. 700 M. LV. 483. Active items. The Ancient Serpent King Scales, plus 121% defense, plus 99% speed, plus 97% agility, plus 55% magic resistance. Lower Floor Boss Identification Core. Active skills. Combat magic. Advanced Earth Summoning, Intimidation, Buff, Poison Breath, Hidden Ability. It's a serpent, and it's enormous. The boss slowly moves its long body around the branches of the tree, eyeing us from almost a kilometer away. Normally, it'd be close to impossible to see a monster at this distance with the naked eye, but its sheer size is astounding. If I were to put a number on it, this creature is nearly 100 meters long. Another thing I notice is its lower floor boss identification core. I've seen one of these before, but it didn't drop last time. Or at least I didn't have the chance to pick it up. Before I can think too deeply about this topic, I'm interrupted by 6-level 430 serpents that come slithering into all of our field of view. LV 430. Active items. The Ancient Serpent Scales plus 81% defense plus 79% speed plus 77% agility plus 50% magic resistance. Active skills. Combat Magic. Advanced Earth Summoning. Intimidation. They move their bodies back and forth to traverse the landscape, but also manipulate the rocky root-covered floor beneath them to accelerate their movements. With glossy black scales, showing a hint of dark green as they slither closer, their glowing red eyes lock onto each of us. Loud hisses fill the air as they surround our team of 6 and go in for the kill just seconds after we've entered. Fisher is the furthest up front. He takes the first one on. With a swift slice from his blade, a bright blue jet of mana-imbued water magic comes rippling out of his sword. The 20-meter-long snake is decapitated in an instant and its head rolls to the floor. Lydia is nearby, letting the serpent that's challenged her get up close and personal. She doesn't even bother to draw her swords. The mage just puts out a hand and begins glowing bright white and blue. Ice forms all around her, and once the monstrous snake dives into her 5-meter-wide aura, its glossy black and green scales begin to cover with crystal-clear ice. In just fractions of a second, the monster is completely frozen solid. It falls to the floor and shatters into thousands of pieces as Lydia shows a thin smile for all of us to see. Abby and Maria jump up in the air, propelled by ice and earth magic to take on 2 other snakes from behind us. These creatures are covered in thick shields of mana, but they're nowhere near as powerful as the blue ogres we recently faced. The 2 girls slice each snake in half the long way without a hint of resistance. Ari and I turn our backs to each other in the middle of the other 4 other battles and fire off our respective shots at the final 2 monsters waiting to attack from a distance. My blade of fire and his arrow of light hit both targets square in the forehead. The 6 serpents that attempted a sneak attack on us are all defeated in an instant. I can sense the excitement in the air as everyone keeps their skills fully charged. We move forward without saying a word or complimenting each other's kills. It's obvious we're all ready for the real fight to start. The purple fog from above in the tree at the back of the boss room grows much denser and starts to creep down the trunk. Running forward through and above the twisting roots of the massive tree, we come across the next 6-level 435s. They're slaughtered in an instant, just like the snakes behind us in a glorious light show. The glowing red eyes of the ancient king lurk atop the tree, waiting for us to approach. The closer we get, the denser the purple clouds above the tree become. The green leaves are starting to fade out of sight and the fog drifts down to the boss room floor. This reminds me of the last lower floor boss I faced. It had minions slow me down on the way, but they were nowhere near as strong as the boss itself. It just waited for its prey to arrive. It seems this boss has a similar plan. Another few hundred meters pass and the final 4-level 440 serpents are slain. We all stand on top of a large root near the base of the tree and look up at the lurking serpent's glowing eyes as the purple fog passes over us. The low buzz of mana fills the air and the presence of the boss looms over us. Maria waves her sword in the air, pointing it up at the glowing red eyes in the darkness above. She speaks up in a cheerful tone despite the growing omnibus environment. "Come on down, we're ready to fight." Her voice echoes, and we're left with silence. Seconds pass and nothing happens. Those crimson eyes just continue to stare down at us through the purple fog and wait. Then I feel my MP being drained. Not very much, but a noticeable amount. It feels similar to the effects of my self-regeneration skills perk when I drink alcohol. At this moment, I realize the battle has already begun. This fog is filled with poison. Chapter 254. As the thin layer of purple fog sweeps over us, I feel the special grade perk of my self-regeneration skill activate. Poison resistance. My MP is being actively drained as the poison from the fog seeps into my body and becomes instantly nullified before damaging my HP bar. The mana all around me is more than enough to counteract the slow drain. My only concern is my teammates. They don't all have easy ways to counteract an ability like this. I yell out, "Hold your breath for as long as possible." The fog is filled with poison. It's not strong, but I doubt it'll stay that way. Everyone around me begins covering their mouths and holding their breath. Abby starts glowing very brightly light green, putting out a restoration wave. I watch both Maria and Ari take their hand from their faces moments later, letting out sighs of relief as the green magic negates the poison's effects almost instantly. I murmur under my breath, "Never mind. It seems I don't have to worry." The archer turns to me. "Let us handle this, boss. You'll get to have your fun later. This may be the hardest opponent we'll get to face today that we can actually handle. I want to see how tough a lower floor boss really is." I pause for a moment, looking up at the crimson glowing eyes of the snake above, then nod and let my gaze hover over each of them. "Sounds good. I'll be watching. Be safe and enjoy." Stairs of ice and rock form, leading up to the higher regions of the massive tree in the sky. My teammates disappear into the growing fog above. It's true. Based on the shielding that Snake possesses, I could most likely defeat it from here if I really put my all into a shot. My teammates may not get a chance like this again to face a unique lower floor boss. It seems to be just about their mana control level too, so this will be an excellent training opportunity for them. I power down my skills, place my sword by my side, and cross my arms. Lydia speaks up from my right side. "All of you are much stronger than any of the reports mentioned." I nod slowly and turn towards her, surprised she hasn't powered down her mana shedding yet to conserve energy and start drinking HP potions to counteract the poison. The white-haired mage has actually turned hers up. A shimmering layer of mana covers her entire body, nearly visible to the naked eye. It is so dense. Under the gaze of my perception skill, it reveals itself to be more mana-rich than any shielding I've ever witnessed. Looking past her, Fisher has his shielding up too. It's very powerful, and not wavering at all under the purple fog's growing presence. Lydia speaks up again in my confusion. Powerful enough shielding can block any magic effects, whether it's a skill or a hidden buff. Mana control is the only thing that truly matters for elites. She pauses, tightening her gaze on me. I'm standing in the fog without a hint of shielding protecting my body, breathing in the poison without a care in the world, and using the ambient mana in the air to regenerate my MP bar. Her words echo through the heavy air. Then again, I guess there are some outliers. Fisher walks over as the mana-imbued mist repels from his body with every step. "Now that we have a minute, I wanted to ask you alone. You got a lot stronger since we trained. All of your teammates too." I don't say a word. I thought he'd ask eventually. "How'd you do it? There's no way you were holding back while we were in the labyrinth. You were definitely clueless." I let out a light laugh, remembering back to my training session with the blue-haired swordsman. If one could even call that a training session. He just showed me his attack once and let me figure it out on my own. Either way, it helped. I reply, "Yeah, we all got stronger, but it's a story I'd rather not tell. We promised to keep it a secret." He tightens his lips, shrugs, and lets out a bit of a grunt while turning to look up at the tree. "Well, I assumed you'd say something like that. At least I know I'm not going too crazy. The four of you are nearly as strong as me. Seems like I'll have to work a lot harder to keep up now." I nod, looking up at the tree's top as well. "Looks like it." "Sure does. My three teammates make it to the top of the tree and begin splitting up in the branches surrounding the enormous monster. Its shielding buzzes loudly and flashes of light fill the sky, making the clouds of purple fog glow brighter, and the monster releases more poison into the air. Arrows fly and blades are swung. Blue, white, and green flashes of light fill the sky. It looks and sounds like a rainbow-colored lightning storm form this distance. Through my perception skills, I watch the shielding of this beast begin to break and wear down more and more every time it reforms. Slithering through the trees faster than I ever imagined it would, the monster puts up a fantastic fight. The archer and two mages have to re-up on MP potions half a dozen times each to continue the fight, and constantly regroup near Abby to re-restore their poison injuries. Hissing and battle cries echo down from the tree above. The outlines of their figures and the presence of mana allow me to sense each teammate's vitality and MP remainders almost perfectly. It'll be a long fight, but they've got this in the bag. The purple-tinted fog grows thicker and thicker, but Abby's restore skill negates its effects as they all begin landing hits on the snake's actual body, slashing deep holes through its armor and leaving wounds in its purple armored body. Fragments of the snake scales begin falling to the boss room floor, along with branch fragments and magic residue. Large rocks and showers of ice erupt from the light show above, littering the floor with debris. The trunk shakes as loud hisses continue to be interrupted by energy waves from the three hunters having the battle of their lives up in the canopy. Just 10 minutes pass before the battlefield above finally goes dark and silent. Cheers ring out through the ominous thick fog as an incredibly loud thud just a few seconds later shakes the entire boss room. The ground ripples and shakes as a battered ancient Serpent King's corpse falls from the tree above. The three of us on the ground level jump into the air, propelling ourselves upwards with wind, water, and ice to avoid the shock waves and flying stone from the boss fall. Once a safe distance in the air, Fisher yells out in a half-laughing tone. "Looks like they really did it. They beat a lower floor boss. Congrats. Your team is really strong enough to call yourselves elites." I nod, showing him a smile and whispering to myself, Yeah. I knew that before stepping foot in this boss room. A glowing green light from above approaches. Abby is healing everyone as they make their descent. I already knew they were strong enough now, but this really confirms it in front of my eyes. Maria's voice calls out from the purple fog that begins to fade away from the top of the tree. I see her cheerful smile. "Ha! Did you see that? I think this was my favorite fight yet. Our new power is awesome." As they glide down, the corpse of the enormous snake begins to dissolve. I curiously activate my appraisal skill to spy on their item drops. A few serpent scales or special items will most likely drop. As it fully dissolves, the blue text comes into view, revealing 4 items, 3 of which seem to be the scales I was expecting. Once separated into 3 parts, their stat boosts have fallen a bit, but are still very impressive. Great rewards for a battle like this. The Ancient Serpent King scale, plus 91% defense plus 82% speed plus 67% agility plus 55% magic resistance. The Ancient Serpent King scale, plus 91% defense plus 82% speed plus 67% agility plus 55% magic resistance. The Ancient Serpent King scale, plus 91% defense plus 82% speed plus 67% agility plus 55% magic resistance. The final item on my radar is one I can't say I was expecting, but definitely hoped it'd appear in the back of my mind. Lower floor boss identification core. I wonder what this will be useful for? Chapter 255. The shockwave of the massive boss corpse hitting the ground has blown most of the purple fog away, revealing my 3 teammates as they make their descent. Maria and Air are bloodied and bruised, but the green circle of light that encapsulates them all slowly makes every wound on their body disappear before they meet the ground. The serpent dropped 3 scales, but also an item I wasn't sure could even drop. The blue text in my mind's I won't go away now that I've locked onto it. Lower floor boss identification core. All 6 of us begin to approach the long narrow crater made by the snake creature's body after the fall. It's fully dissolved now and has left a 10-meter deep, 100-meter long ravine in the boss room floor. We hop down into it to get the loot and mana crystal drops. The items are giving off a white and purple glow, radiating with excess mana from the creature. Even after death, it's still exuding power. Maria is the first to run over and pick up one of the glossy black scales. It shimmers purple and green when light hits it. Like most item drops, it shrunk down to wearable size and it's attached to a small black string. All 3 of them put in their new battle rewards. My eyes move back and forth around the boss room floor searching for this mysterious identification core. I've never seen one before, so I'm not sure what exactly I'm looking for. My teammates haven't found it, so it wasn't in the loot pile. Technically, it's their kill, so it's their loot. Though I'm sure they won't object to some reasoning. My main concern is finding it before we're sent to the next floor. The blue text box hovers above the ground just 10 meters away under a pile of small rubble. I walk over and start moving stones out of the way with my telekinesis skill. No excess mana is coming off of this pile, so all I can do is uncover the stone slowly. Pinpointing its exact location is oddly difficult. Ari walks over with his arms crossed. "What are you looking for?" My gaze tightens as I continue to move rubble. I'm honestly not sure. There isn't even a hint of a mana signature coming off of this item. None at all. The only way I'm able to locate or sense it is with my appraisal skill. The blue text just hovers over this pile of rubble in my mind's eye. Lydia and Fisher both eye me from afar, but decide to congratulate Abby and Maria instead. The girls are very happy about their victory and need someone to share it with. My focus is solely on finding this identification core. I must have missed my chance to obtain one in my last lower floor boss match. I did pass out after the fight. If it's this hard to locate every time, I can't blame Ember for leaving it behind. No one else is able to sense its presence. Not even the experienced elites. So, it must be even rarer than I initially thought. Ari watches me sift through the rubble for a few minutes, then finally speaks up again. "Whatever's under there, I can't sense it at all. If you find anything, it's all yours." He turns the black scale to glimmer around his neck. This is more than enough for me. I give him a nod but stay focused on the rock pile ahead of me. The small blue name tag keeps shifting and changing exact locations as I throw rocks around. I'm narrowing in on its location. Finally, all the debris moves out of the way and I'm left standing in front of a small gray-colored stone. It has swirls of black color over it, creating a stripe-like pattern. Looking at it through my perception skill gives me a very weird feeling. It doesn't even show up at all. It's not made of mana. The blue label just floats above the floor over a tiny smooth oval-shaped rock. I lean down and pick it up. Lower floor boss identification core. Instant low floor boss room reactivation. Yes. No. Automatic timed reactivation. 6 days, 23 hours, 57 minutes, 11 seconds. I turn around, and Ari is still staring at me with arms crossed and a satisfied look on his face from a battle well fought. Passing for a moment, the stone is the only thing I can think about. The countdown timer is 7 days long, the same as a boss room's cooldown timer. I let out a long sigh, then turn to Ari. "Can you see anything unique about the stone?" He raises an eyebrow and puts out a hand. "No. Let me see it up close." I blink a few times while staring at the stone in a confused state of mind. Then, tightening my lips, I drop the stone into Ari's hand. "Just tell me if you can see any dash." The moment the stone touches the archer's hand, it passes right through and hits the hand boss room floor at our feet. It doesn't make a sound as it lands. Ari jumps back, cracking a smile but reacting in a surprised tone. What was that? That rock just passed right through my hand?" What kind of item did you just find? After Ares' yell, this gets all of my other teammates interested. The 4 others walk over. One by one, I drop the rock through each of their hands and it does exactly the same thing. Even Fisher and Lydia. After almost another minute passes, I choose no on the instant reactivation and the timer continues to count down on its own. No one here has an appraisal skill, so it makes perfect sense why they couldn't see or sense the item. The one question that witches at the back of my mind is why I'm able to touch the core and no one else can. Before I have too much time to question this more, a white flash of light begins to bring us to the next floor. I throw the identification core into my item storage. This will be explored later. While the whiteness of transfer magic surrounds me, my brain churns through ideas, but it's best to focus. I'll ask Ember about it once we have a moment of free time. He'll know more than I do about the inner workings of a labyrinth. In the meantime, I'll have to focus on clearing this break. We're about to enter the 21st floor. As my vision comes back to me, the sight before my eyes is oddly familiar. My feet stand steady on a very hard white marble-like surface, and in front of me, there's an eerie pale green sky. It's not exactly the same, but quite similar to a dungeon floor I've been to before. Fisher speaks up from behind me, reaffirming my suspicions. Hey Lydia, this floor is exactly the same as the 21st back in the capital. Who would have guessed? He lets out a laugh, and it echoes through the endless white pillars that stretch down into the green abyss below and above. The blue-haired swordsman speaks up again, reaching down to pick up a green vine with healthy-looking leaves growing around the large pillar we stand on. Well, it is a little different. I don't remember there being so many plants back in the Vice Region's 21st. I nod slowly, still taking in the view, then activate my perception skills. The moment I do, a massive green creature approaches us from above. Its beady red eyes pierce through the misty sky. The creature's white talons match its sharp teeth, with a 5-meter-wide wingspan allowing it to glide around with great precision. The monster stares us down with an ugly, monstrous expression. Its status appears in my mind's eye. 75M. LV. 461. Active items. Gargoyle's Platinum Ring plus 88% mental strength. Gargoyle's Platinum Amulet plus 82% defense. Gargoyle's Heavy Armor Set plus 2000 defense. Active skills. Life Steal. Special grade. Body Hardening. Special grade. Gargoyles. Chapter 256. The green dark-skinned creature flaps its wings and soars down towards me. Its red demonic eyes are shining through the mist. With the face of a rabid dog mixed with a mutant goblin, its jagged white teeth shine in contrast against the hazy green dungeon background. I've never seen a creature like this. It's a gargoyle. My eyes dart across its status, trying to piece together any extra information it'll give me. At first glance, it looks quick and agile, but its stats show a different story. The monster seems to be mostly a defense type with high magic and HP increasing skills. Body Hardening and Life Steal. I smirk at the sight of this. If it does what I think it does, I'm in for a treat. I haven't gotten a useful skill in ages. Come to think of it, if I waited on the 21st floor in the Vice region for a little longer or gone back to check things out after I fully recovered, I could have had the skill for myself a lot sooner. Gritting my teeth, but show a wide smile through my clenched jaw, I swing my blade up in the air, releasing a dense black wave of energy before anyone else can get a shot out. This one's mine. A loud screech fills the skies as my blade of mana collides with the gargoyle less than a second later. It doesn't have much time at all to react, but the distance between us is still pretty far. On reflex, its body hardening skill activates, and all of its mana shielding moves to the exact harden point as well. White mana residue and gray body hardening cover its cross and lower body in a thin line. That gray isn't the same color as my hardening. It seems this creature must have an odd variation. The rest of its body is completely unguarded. With every bit of energy focused on blocking my attack, it puts up a great defense in the blink of an eye. After a flash of white light and a quick buzzing sound, the outline of the winged monster flying through the air comes out from behind the fireball of mana residue and broken body hardening. Shards of stone-like material fall into the pale green abyss below. With it, one of the monster's legs covered in crimson blood spins downward with it. The screech for the wounded creature echoes throughout the dungeon, and I sense more monsters approaching from both above and below. It brought company. Gritting my teeth and aiming for the gargoyle trailing blood in the sky, I let off another shot. The same thing happens. It twists and turns away, this time avoiding my strike entirely. I am over 40 meters away. Even if my attacks are fast, it has plenty of time to move. This isn't a low-level monster after all. Looking back and forth at my teammates as the creature's backup approaches, I grip my sword tighter. I might have to get a little serious. I activate my stat-boosting buffs and zero in on the twisting and weaving monster in the sky. It's trying to get away, hiding behind white stone pillars covered in lush green vines. My teammates jump into action too, just in time as half a dozen mobs identical to the first come rushing out of the pale fog. Water, ice, and stone form as we all jump from the white stone pillar forward into the endless dungeon. I airstep high into the air, following the monster that survived 2 of my attacks. It won't be so lucky on my third. The towering structures of marbled stone pass me on both sides, and my teammates follow below as monsters emerge from the green foggy cloud on all sides. Smiling as I get closer and closer, I release an attack that would easily have split the Blue Ogre King in 2. I charge up 2000 MP of my newly upgraded fire-imbued mana. Overkill, but letting out a full power slash is something I haven't done yet with this new power. I'd like to see how powerful I've really become. Plus, this shifty gargoyle is getting on my nerves. As the bulk wave of magic comes out of my sword, the loud sound of buzzing mana erupts and hums through the dungeon. I can see the air quiver around it and the stone pillars nearby vibrate and shake just from being near it. It's faster, stronger, and more deadly than anything I've ever produced before. The gargoyle is less than 10 meters above me. It's desperately trying to get away but never stood a chance. It's sliced in 2 without a hint of resistance, letting the bulk blade glide far off into the dungeon behind it. I watch it soar off into the distance, slicing through a few tall white pillars that grow high into the sky. More importantly, I lunge forward to be showered in the incinerated shielding and body hardening of the now-deceased gargoyle. I see blue text appear in my mind's eye as it falls through the air. It's a satisfying sight, one I haven't seen in quite a while. Use absorption. Skill. Life steal. Special grade. Yes. No. Honestly, a little too satisfying. I don't remember the last time I got a skill this easily. I quickly choose yes, as the dark green corpse whizzes by my head and falls into the abyss below. I'm sure if we kill enough of these monsters, some kind of unique item will drop. However, I'm not diving down to try and catch that thing. Its skill is enough of a reward for me. I smirk, opening up my status to see my new skill at the bottom of the list. Then open it up to check the specifics. Life steal. Info. Life steal allows the user to take HP from opponents once physical contact is made. The effectiveness of the user's ability to steal HP decreases if the maximum HP bar of their opponent is higher than their own. It is much more efficient to steal HP from weaker enemies. Special grade perk. HP may be consumed from direct contact with an opponent's mana shielding or skill's aura. Efficiency is reduced by 85% without physical contact. An opponent's HP can only be brought down to 10% without physical contact. Grade. Special grade. Upgrade. I close my status with a smirk and turn back to my teammates, watching them decapitate, shatter, and explode their enemies to bits in a light show of blue, white, and green magic. I whisper under my breath while air-stepping back down to meet them. Too easy. This is way too easy dash. Crack. My inner thoughts are interrupted by the distinct crunch of stone scraping on stone. It sounds like massive boulders are colliding and breaking behind me. Not at all what I'd expect while high in the sky. I turn my head immediately to see dozens of marble-white pillars all tilting my way. Feels like the entire dungeon is falling toward me. In reality, there's a chain reaction of pillars crashing and falling into each other in reaction to my powerful attack. The tops of these enormous structures are impossible to see. Some break off into pieces, and the sky begins to fill with falling white cylindrical stones. It's a beautiful sight, but a terrifying one too. Our time in this dungeon has been short, but it seems we've already overstayed our welcome. Chapter 257. The attack I sent out a moment ago was a bit too strong for this delicate dungeon to handle. The white marble pillars of stone come crashing down towards us, breaking into massive pieces and filling the green sky with an incoming barrage of white-colored stone. I create a layer of pink mana shielding around my body and airstep down towards my team as they all begin to activate their powers as well. A dome! We'll make a dome! I hear Fisher yelling at us as we all form together in a tighter circle, standing on floating earth magic from Abby's skill. Ice, rock, and water starts to form all around us as we work together to create an impenetrable mana-imbued defense in mere seconds as the pillars of rocks come crashing down. I contribute with a layer of rock, but my main focus is using my all-seeing eye to gaze into the sky through our dome. For easily a kilometer in the air, more and more pillars are breaking and adding to the avalanche coming down from the sky above. I've started a chain reaction that doesn't look like it's going to stop until they all come crashing down. The thick layer of floating earth magic is steady beneath our feet. I grit my teeth and wait for the first layer of stone to hit our dome of shielding. As it gets closer, I use telekinesis and mana manipulation to slow its fall and liquefy it as best I can. Unfortunately, there's way too much mass coming down toward us to move it all. A loud crushing thud hits the top of the dome, splitting the pillar into fragments and falling to the green abyss around the shield on all sides. One down, and too many to go. Seconds after, another loud crunching and cracking sound rattles the entire shield and shakes the ground we stand on. More and more pillars come falling down. I make sure to soften the blows as best I can with every passing impact. These are just large pieces of dungeon mass after all. They're not supercharged ultra-dense mana like our shielding. The only issue is the weight, size, and sheer amount of these falling death pillars. Over and over, for nearly 5 minutes straight, we're bombarded by rock. Everyone is breathing heavily and holding onto their shielding for dear life. I'm most likely the only one that can sense an end in sight. Everyone else is just biding their time and hoping for the falling stone to stop soon. Eventually, that end comes. The last pillar falls and breaks in two, falling down to the pale void and knocking other stone columns down on the way with it. The dungeon goes down for quite a while, almost as far down as it goes up actually. Many pillars and still breaking and falling into each other far below. The echoes of stone colliding sound out through the entire pocket world we stand in. The collisions against our dome fade to nothing, and not a single pillar remains above us in the sky. I speak up. It's over. They've all fallen. Through the heavy breathing and bright glowing mana, everyone slowly releases their collective shielding, and we're left standing on a single floating platform of combined magic. I peer out into the dungeon to see nothing but a pale green empty sky. Lydia chuckles. Fisher starts to laugh. Then Ari, Abby, and Maria all join in too. The white-haired mage speaks up after we share a light-hearted chuckle over the absurdity we just witnessed. You learn something new every day. I didn't know a reaction that massive was even possible to tell you the truth. She smiles and looks over at me. That's one powerful shot you've got there. You've taken on a ranked-up monster, haven't you? Control like that doesn't come easily. I nod slowly. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing what this labyrinth has in store for us. She grins, then turns toward the direction of the boss room. Well, one floor at a time. There's a long pause. Then she speaks up again. It seems like most of the monsters were taken out by the pillar's fall, but they will all be spawning back in soon enough. I activate my enemy detection skill to confirm most of the monsters really are gone. Lydia continues. We'll need one person to stay behind and guard the exit portal. This Dunegon should be breaking in just a few hours. None of the Solaran forces can handle watching it. Fisher speaks next. I'm not staying. He crosses his arms and looks over to me, then his teammate. Neither of you are either. It's clear we need to handle the highest floors. He looks over to the archer, healer, and blonde-haired ice mage. One of you needs to guard this floor. Ari shrugs and replies, I don't have an element summoning skill. It's impossible for me to stay up in the sky like this. I think to myself as Abby and Maria turn to each other discussing the matter. We never witnessed the gargoyles use the lifesteal skill, but the best way to counteract it would be a healing skill as well. Abby would be the perfect fit for this dungeon. She has an easy enough time staying up in the air on her summoned earth magic, and I saw her take out a gargoyle at close range with a single swing from her daggers. She could collect a lot of loot and mana crystals too. Abby, you'd be the perfect fit. Just don't let these monsters get too close. They can steal HP even without touching you. Both of the girls turn towards me, understanding that it's the safest bet. With her restore skill, even mutants won't be able to suck the life from her. Theoretically. The green-haired healer speaks up. Sounds good to me. I'll do my part, you all do yours. We work out logistics and say our goodbyes for about 3 more minutes while hovering back over to the spinning exit portal. Lydia explains that the circle of mana leads to the 19th floor. Once that floor collapses, the dormant boss room will be skipped and the 21st will be next. Abby needs to fend off monsters until the 21st floor fully breaks. No amount of killing the boss will speed this up. The labyrinth is a ticking time bomb. Almost nothing can stop it now. Once this floor breaks, all hunters inside will be transported back into the Solaran shielding stairway underground. You may re-enter the labyrinth to help your teammate on the floor above once this happens. Meanwhile, the remaining hunters will race to the top to clear the final boss before the entire labyrinth breaks, releasing elite-level monsters into the city. On that note, we leave. Abby guards the first portal as we make our way to the gargoyles' boss room. It takes just under an hour, but we make it to the back of the dungeon to find a floating gray portal. Without wasting any time, the 5 of us jump through to face the boss. The room we're transported into is like a miniature version of the pale green dungeon itself. It's filled with high marble stone pillars and twisting vines growing up their sides. As soon as the level 484 boss appears, it's sliced to pieces and riddled with holes by 5 elites' full-powered shots in a matter of milliseconds. The poor creature never stood a chance. There's a miniature collapse of stone columns just like in the dungeon, but it ends quickly as transfer magic brings us up to the 22nd floor. As my eyes adjust, the dry, cracked orange stone ground under my feet comes into my line of sight, and an earthy herbal aroma fills my nose. The air is dry, makes me lick my lips, and the artificial dungeon sun shines down on us as I look out over a magnificent canyon. Dust clouds are visible in the distance, notifying us that monsters must be approaching already. I activate my inspect, appraisal, and enemy detection skills to lock onto the closest one. 400 M. LV. 489. Active items. Lizard Tyrant's armor set plus 2400 defense. Lizard Tyrant's heavy axe plus 2200 strength. Lizard Tyrant's platinum amulet plus 1800 mental strength. Active skills. Body hardening. Special grade. Extreme strength. Hibernation. Chapter 258. An enormous brown-skinned lizard wearing thick shining silver armor approaches in a cloud of dust from the backside of the dungeon. On all fours, the mindless beast charges forward, waving a red tongue back and forth while letting out grunts and hisses. Thick mana shielding surrounds its body on all sides. It has a skill I've never seen before. Of course, it's one I want, but I'm not drawn to it immediately like the last creature we faced. It seems my teammates are more trigger-happy than me on this floor, especially the blonde-haired mage. Maria lunges forward, glowing bright blue and taking a swing with her sword smiling ear to ear. This one's mine. Before the 7-meter-long lizard can even get within range, it is hit point blank with a powerful incoming wall of ice. I watch its black crystals of body hardening activate and the monster's aura glow gold. But in a matter of seconds, it's already over. The incoming blue and white light encapsulates the lizard's mana shielding in a layer of ice. It squeezes in tighter and tighter until a buzz of white light from the fractured shielding explodes outward in all directions and the feral beast comes to a halt. Frozen solid, not moving a muscle, the lizard tyrant stands in front of us now in the form of a light blue statue. Maria sends out another wave of energy, and the work of art explodes into a million tiny little fragments of ice that glimmer and shine while falling to the floor under the heat waves of the artificial dungeon's sun. She cheerfully jumps in the air as we follow after her. All right, another level. A few more monsters appear as we continue onward. They are all between levels 480 and 490. Each of us sends out attacks, either splitting them in two or shattering them with just the touch of a finger. That's only Lydia's battle style. I still haven't seen her put in any effort at all today. After defeating one of the rather easy-to-kill lizard tyrants myself, a familiar text screen pops up. Use absorption. Skill. Hibernation. Special grade. Yes. No. While choosing yes, I whisper under my breath. This is getting too easy. I check my status in a particularly good mood about the special grade perk on my absorption skill automatically upgrading this one. Hibernation. Info. Hibernation allows the user to fall into a deep slumber and cure any curse, disease, or illness given enough time. Hibernation costs a set amount of MP upfront, and the user will not require food, water, or excess mana until the process is complete. If awoken before hibernation is complete, progress will be 100% negated. The effectiveness of hibernation is greatly decreased if a curse or disease inflicted on the user comes from a being of significantly greater mana control or level. It may take significantly more MP to complete a difficult request. The user's defenses will decrease by 99% during hibernation. The user's defenses will decrease by 50% for 12 hours following hibernation. These debuffs may not be completely removed by any skill below the mythic rank. Special grade perk. Hibernation time is decreased by 50% and upfront MP cost is reduced by 35%. Post-hibernation debuffs may be reduced by up to 50% with specified MP cost depending on the severity of the ailment cured. Grade. Special grade. Upgrade. I scrunch my eyebrows as I read this description. It seems to be another healing skill, but useless if I already have lifesteal. Self-regeneration and HP potions should be more than enough for post-battle trauma too. With a shrug, I close my status and continue moving forward with my team. It never hurts to have another interesting skill in my arsenal for any unexpected issues. We come to the first major cliff that leads down into the Orange Canyon below. There's a water source down below, allowing for more plant life to grow in the deeper regions of the dungeon. Ari turns to Maria and speaks up. So I assume it's either you or me. Who's guarding this dungeon from the impending break? She smiles. I'll do it. I'd like to see what kind of loot these creatures drop after a few dozen more kills. There's been nothing yet, but I'm feeling lucky. I nod and interject. They should drop a solid mental strength buffing amulet if you kill enough. It's definitely worth farming for. She gives me a firm nod. Great. Plus, these creatures have a natural weakness to the cold. It'll be easy enough even if 10 attack at once. I'll be nearing level 500 by the end of today. Ari turns to me, then back to Maria. So it's settled. We should keep moving. Again, we go over logistics and Maria heads back to guard the gate. The four of us remaining head off down into the canyon and keep killing lizard tyrants as they show up sporadically. I sense some of them lying dormant at the backsides of the dungeon. There's a high chance they're hibernating, but we don't have much time to check it out. Deeper and deeper, we travel until we make it to the swirling gray portal at the furthest portion of the canyon. It's located underneath a massive overhang that blocks out the sun, and 2 mutant lizard tyrants levels 491 and 492 stand waiting for us. Fisher and Ari take them out with ease as Lydia and I follow behind. The anticipation of what's to come is building, but I still have a while to wait. Everything in this dungeon feels so weak. In reality, I've just grown very strong. When am I going to get a good fight? I murmur to myself as we're transported into the boss room and the level 504 humanoid, looking lizard man with dark brown skin, shining silver armor, and 2 enormous glowing red axes eyes us down. Orange stone walls create an incredible arena for a fight with a ranked-up beast, but I can't help but feel irritated and bored by the sight of it. I could take this monster out in a single slash. Air and Fisher lunge forward as I stand back and watch with Lydia. The white-haired mage chuckles and leans in toward me. I feel the same way. Not even worth drawing your sword right. I swallow hard, then reply while blue and white light begins to flash as the 2 hunters take on a ranked-up boss of the 22nd floor. No, unfortunately it's not. Just under a minute passes and the mutant creature falls to the boss room floor, dissolving and dropping a glistening silver armor set. Ari gladly accepts it and puts the new gear on. I appraise the silver armor as we're transported to the next floor. Lizard Tyrant King's armor set, plus 3,000 defense plus 1,500 mental strength. The white transfer magic fades and under my boots, I feel the earth shift and make odd scratching sounds. Once my full vision comes back, the black-colored gravel beneath my feet glimmers with a metallic shine. I look up, and all I see is an endless void of a very light gray sky. It's almost completely white, and the flat ground stretches out for kilometers ahead. The end is further than the naked eye can see. Taking a step forward, the metal crunching under my boots fills my ears. My 3 teammates step forward as well, making the same twitchy reactions as the sound of 1,000 tiny forks scraping across dinner plates fills everyone's ears. What is this place? The ground begins to vibrate. Less than 30 meters in front of us, the metal fragments on the ground start to twist and turn, then float slowly up into the air. First, it looks like a silver and black bubble. The ball of metallic shards lifts from the ground, contrasting with the gray sky and glimmering as it shifts and spins to mold into a different shape. It floats higher into the air, pulling more metal with it, sporting arms and legs, now standing over 5 meters tall. The metal fragments look like tiny silver bugs as they shift and move around, forming a humanoid body holding what looks like a long, sharpened, shining sword. A shadowy face, with faded features continuously shifting and moving, appears. It's trying to mimic the eye and mouth formations it sees on us as it creeps closer. The slow creep speeds up. Then, it lets out an ear-shattering metallic roar. It starts to run straight toward us, leaving thousands of tiny fragments behind while scooping new ones up with every passing step to reforming its lost mass. I power up my stat-boosting skills and grip my sword, then use Inspect and Appraisal. LV 495. Active items. Metal Warrior Core. Bonded. Active skills. None. Interesting. Chapter 259. A level 495 metal warrior stands over 5 meters tall, made completely out of the shards that cover the dungeon's floor. Its only active item is a bonded core, so my first assumption is that this monster is similar to the rock golems we faced not too long ago. If that core is destroyed, it will most likely just reform until the mana within it completely disperses. As it runs closer, a white light starts to shine from its chest, and I activate my all-seeing eye. Sure enough, it's the core. My guess is spot on. The growing light of Ares' bow begins to match the luminosity of the core covered in metal fragments that charges toward us. I ready my blade but know my teammate is getting ready to take the shot, so I wait. Ari is powerful enough to take this monster on alone. I'm sure of it. Once less than 10 meters away, the glimmering white arrow flies forward at the metal creature. Surprisingly, there is no mana barrier at all around the warrior's frame. It only keeps a protective layer around its core. The creature uses scraps from the dungeon to reform its body, so there's no need to conserve anything else. The twanging sound that two magnets make when they collide rings in my ears as Ares' spirit arrow makes contact with the white glowing core of the charging beast. It cracks open and expels an enormous amount of energy, sending scrap metal flying in all directions. I grit my teeth and throw up a barrier of pink mana to block the debris. The bonded core of the mutant golem we faced before was only defeated once its MP was completely expanded. The readings I'm picking up after this first blast are impressive. It looks like that may happen soon. The core of this warrior is already carrying a third less mana than it did moments ago. Ahri fires off a second shot without wavering for a second. The crisp arrow glides into the white ball of energy that skill comes charging our way at an alarming rate. Metallic sounds echo through my eardrums again. Another wave of intense energy shakes the ground, shooting more shrapnel our way. Fractions of a second later, the archer fires off a third and final shot. This time around, the core completely explodes with it. The heat from the blast melts a large amount of the floating metal as it flies in the air. Lydia and Fisher put up walls of ice and water. My shielding is already raised. I watch Ahri start to glow light white, similar to his arrow's color, but surrounding his entire upper body. He still turns his back to the blast. However, as the shards of metal come rocketing toward his never-heavy armor, they slow down and stop before hitting him directly. The pieces of glimmering black or fall to the ground and bounce off in other directions just like the mana barrier of a combat magic user. The remains of the metal monster fall to our feet in a wave of debris, but they all sink back into the floor within seconds. The Dunegon falls silent again, only allowing for the sound of our feet scraping on metal to be the sole sound filling our minds while powering down the shielding. Fisher turns with his arms crossed. 3 shots, not bad. Not bad at all. Lydia walks over next, nodding with a smile. 3 shots and you put up a solid tier 1 mana shielding. I could sense it from here. With no elemental skill either, that's pretty impressive. The archer stands up straight with a look of satisfaction as he eyes his open status. Yeah, that was my first time trying it out. The fractured core of the metal warrior rolls to our feet, then starts to dissolve. Not even a mana crystal is left behind. All of the pure energy from this monster just floats into the air and returns back to the labyrinth. Ahri speaks up again, looking out into the dungeon. I'd like to test this new shielding ability out a bit more. I think I'll be able to master it, given a few hours guarding this Dunegon. I nod, finally speaking up. Great, you'll guard the 23rd floor. My eyes dart along the horizon in front of us, and I see another metal warrior forming about 100 meters away. Lydia speaks, turning her gaze from the newly forming monster back to the archer. They never hunt in groups. 2 at a time is the most I've ever seen from these metal warriors. You're more than capable enough to guard this gate. Master that shielding in the time being, then help us out once this floor collapses. I'm sure you can take on the 24th too. Ahri gives her a firm nod. The ice mage turns back to me and Fisher. Let's head out, we don't have much time. Fisher runs forward at the metal monster as Ahri begins to walk back toward the exit gate. I watch crescents of blue light come from the water welder's sword as he takes the warrior out in 2 shots. A dazzling explosion of silver and white light follows. We venture off into the dungeon and continue to defeat about a dozen of these odd creatures on our way to the boss room. Fisher does most of the hunting, but I attempt to defeat a few as well. By one-shooting them with a half-powered strike, or draining their MP dry with Plunderer, they seem to just dissolve into thin air, dropping no items of mana crystals no matter how many of them we kill. Lydia makes a comment on this as we approach the far side of the dungeon. There's never been any drops with these metal warriors, unfortunately. Good levels, though. Fisher jumps into the conversation as the spinning gray boss room comes into full view. They sure are. I gained 3 levels in the last 30 minutes. That's more than I've gained in months. He smirks, still glowing blue. Come on, let's face this boss. We all jump through the gray boss room portal that ominously spins on the flat ground of this empty black floor dungeon. White transfer magic brings us to a room with a layout I was not expecting to see. The floor feels the same as the one we just left. The only difference is the fragments of material are as white as snow. I look up to see the sky. It's completely black. The boss room is very disorienting. I blink a few times while looking around and kicking up some of the white fragments on the floor. It feels like the ground and sky have been completely flipped. Metal scraping on metal still scratches at my ears as we all take a few steps forward. But the ominous dark void above us makes me want to look away and stare down at the ground out of instinct. As I do, the white metal shards begin to rumble and vibrate, just like in the Dunedin outside when a warrior forms. Lydia's voice hits my ears from the right side, and I sense Fisher powering up his long blue sword on my left. Get ready, it's a mutant. I've never seen a warrior's boss room quite like this. The shards of white metal start to float away from me as I look up to watch them all form into a massive ball. It's like a wave of white water is sucking the floor out from under us. We jump in the air using elemental magic to hover and stand our ground. The white ball contrasting against the black horizon shapes into a humanoid warrior with a long, sharp white sword. It's the exact opposite of the monsters that form in the dungeon, and it feels at least twice as strong. The creature's chest glows bright with 3 cores, 2 of which shine with normal pure white mana, while the center core pulses jet black. Dark, swirling mana-imbued energy leaks out of it, exuding great power similar to the blue ogre I recently faced. The magnificent metal creature stands over 7 meters tall. It forms a constantly shifting pair of eyes and a jagged mouth to let out a metallic roar. LV 525. Active items. Ranked up Metal Warrior Core. Bonded. Metal Warrior Core. Bonded. Metal Warrior Core. Bonded. Active skills. None. I grip my sword and activate my stat-boosting skills as I read its status. This is a ranked-up Metal Warrior. Chapter 260. Shimmering fragments that make up the white ranked-up Metal Warrior's body reflect off each other as the ground beneath my feet gets sucked away. A black void surrounds the entire boss room, and a dreadful monster's metallic screeches ring through my ears. I try to concentrate and look for a weakness. I'm sure I can defeat it with brute force, but figuring out how a ranked-up golem like this works may help me win further fights. It's best I study every new opponent like they're deadly to me. Its body ripples like waves and its facial features shift constantly to keep shape. Fisher is the first to jump into action. He throws an attack at the shimmering white titan. A thin blue wave of energy clashes with the monster's white sword, then slices right through almost instantly to head at its torso. The mana holding its fragmented body together is much weaker than that closer to the center. With a long crash, the attack collides with all 3 cores at once. At first, I was expecting this attack to instantly end our boss room battle. I even activated my all-seeing eye to watch how the mana blade would leave the metal warrior in shambles. This ranked-up boss seems a bit tougher than I initially gave it credit for. The blue slash of water magic cracks the 2 white cores on both sides of its chest but stops instantly once it reaches the middle black orb. My eyes widen while watching the swirling black aura completely absorb every drop of MP from Fisher's strike. The water wielder lets out another attack just after with visible frustration, but swift practice precision. He mutters under his breath, "No way! That was almost my full power." The second crescent of light blue mana cracks through the white warrior's sword, shattering its blade and full arm to pieces as it heads straight for the cores. There's another flash of light and I witness the same result. More damage to the 2 outer cores is visible, but the middle black core seems unaffected. It absorbs the entire shot without a hint of resistance. The boss keeps moving forward as its jagged mouth opens wide to let out a screech. The 2 cracked bonded spheres in the creature's lower chest begin to glow brighter as they heal themselves completely with the absorbed mana from Fisher's strike. There's another frustrated grunt from the blue-haired swordsman as he drinks an MP potion and starts to move away from Lydia and me to face the beast at closer range. "I've got this. Let me figure out how this monster operates. Then, one of you can step in if my mana control really isn't up to par." Lydia crosses her arms, looking up at the monster, then back to the swordsman. 2 minutes. Then we step in for the kill. These golem types aren't easy to without rapid mana regeneration or a teammate. He turns while charging up his blade. Got it, watch close. I'll have some fun with this warrior. It's not every day I get to face a ranked-up boss. I power down my sword and let him fight his battle. The monster looks interesting, but we all know he'll be guarding the next dungeon. If he wants to have some fun with this boss, it's all his. It may be the strongest opponent he'll get to face today. 2 take each other on. Blue slashes against a glowing black core in a sea of white metal shards. The outer cores are destroyed over and over again, but the metal warrior keeps absorbing every one of the water wilder's strikes with the miniature black hole in the center of its chest. Fisher fights harder, drinking more MP potions, but never releasing enough shots at once to truly damage the boss before it can regenerate entirely. It reminds me of the first half of my battle against the Blue Ogre King. The only difference is it has a clear weakness. For a fraction of a second, every time the metal monster regenerates its outer cores, the strength of the shielding around the middle black life source flickers. The impenetrable swirling black mass of mana dilutes its power by nearly 70%, sharing MP with the other 2 cores, momentarily mending them. Fisher completely destroys them every time with ease, expelling 100% of their mana. The only way to heal each one is with the help of an outside source. The ranked-up core. It happens 5 times in a row, in a time frame of under a minute and a half. Even with the naked eye, I can see that shimmering onyx black core. It peeks through as the mana around it thins. Fisher lets out 2 more shots to obliterate the dual cores, but fails to slash the third in time after re-upping his MP again. He can see it too, but is too stubborn to ask for help. Or based on the wide grin across his face, maybe he just doesn't want us to prematurely ruin his fun. Lydia turns to me. That's 2 minutes. Enough wasting time. Would you like to take a crack at it? Or shall I? While watching the black core glimmer again, I charge my sword. I'll handle it. I'd like to see this monster close up too. Air stepping forward as white metal fragments fly around the air. I aim my blade in for a clear shot. Fisher shows me a smirk as I approach, and the white warrior shifts its gaze toward me. The blue-haired swordsman yells out. You see its center core, right? Try aiming for it after my next attack. This was already my plan. I nod without saying a word, just putting up a wall of pink mana shielding to block the glistening white sword made of tiny fragments that comes falling down toward me. It explodes into pieces as it collides with my shield. At the same time, Fisher lets out 2 more shots, one after another, at the creature's chest. Mana and metal fragments fly off in every direction. The beast lets out a high-pitched shriek as its sword, body, and 2 cores are all destroyed in fractions of a second. The final core is exposed, and its shifting face shows an expression of confusion as it struggles to reform. Meanwhile, I let out a jet-black flaming blade of energy straight toward the shining core that matches its dark hue. My mana blade blends in with the sky as it effortlessly glides through the monster's midsection and slices its main core in 2. I air-step forward, absorbing the MP in the air as it's expelled from the consolidated black aura. I'm giving this beast no options for regenerating. A ranked-up boss like this wouldn't be defeated just from a broken core. It must have more tricks up its sleeve, but there's no reason to find out what they are. The white and black swirling candle smoke like energy flows into me. The closer I get, the easier it is to fully absorb with my plunder skill. In a matter of seconds, the boss' final cries cease and all of the white shards drop back down to the floor. The boss room is flat and motionless again. Silence fills my ears. Level up. All 3 of us glide downward, powering down our skills to examine the debris left over from the brawl. In the sea of white shards, a fist-sized glossy black sphere rolls to a halt. I appraise it. Ranked up metal warrior core. Bonded. Then a second text screen pops up next to it as well. Use advanced mana manipulation. Advanced perk. Temporary minion. Enter desired level. 0 to 496. Yes. No. I grin and bend down to pick up the item, but Lydia warns me to step. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I pause, looking back at her with my hand centimeters from the black ball. Why not dash? The floor beneath my feet begins to rumble, and the remnants of black mana-imbued aura flicker around the monster's core. The white-haired mage jumps up in the air, using ice magic to hover off the ground. It's always a pain when ranked-up golems drop their cores. She rolls her eyes, motioning for us to follow her up in the air. Fisher yells out as the dark core starts sucking in fragments of matter from the floor. The white shards start to disappear at an alarming rate. What? How? I even leveled up. I thought we killed that thing. Lydia responds as the black hole speeds up its absorption rate, taking more and more of this boss room's mass into it. We did. It's just being a bit difficult to kill, even after death. My gaze tightens on the growing circle of darkness, dragging dungeon mass into it as all three of us hover in midair. The advanced mana manipulation perk screen still floats in front of my vision with blue text. Well, two can play at that game. I choose yes.